Early June. The air was hot and sticky, and a light drizzle tapped against the window. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The phone on the bedside table wouldn't stop vibrating. Ugh, quiet already. 5 more minutes. Fong Hung mumbled, half asleep, as he reached out to hit the alarm. But his hand met empty space. Huh, where's my alarm clock? He thought groggily, blinking open his eyes. The room was unfamiliar, small, messy, and cramped. A wooden bed and a game cabin took up most of the space. Empty takeout boxes and wine bottles littered the floor. On the wall hung a framed photo of a young man holding a trophy, surrounded by cheering fans. His expression wasn't joyful, just proud, maybe even arrogant. Fong Hung jolted upright. The sleep vanished instantly. What the hell? This isn't my room. A wave of memories surged through his head, sharp and chaotic. This body's name was also Fong Hung, and he had committed suicide last night. My soul crossed over into his body, he realized. The phone buzzed again in his hand. Caller ID. Big trouble. He answered. Fong Hung, you bastard, a sharp female voice snapped. I couldn't reach you all day. Were you really planning to kill yourself this time? Fong Hung paused. The worry in her tone was obvious. I'm sorry for making you worry. What's wrong? He said instinctively. The line went quiet. The woman, Xia Shi, was clearly stunned. The Fong Hung she knew had never apologized in his life. Are you okay? She asked cautiously. Fong Hung realized his slip. The old Fong Hung had been hot-tempered, prideful, and impossible to deal with. He quickly shifted his tone. Is there anything else? If not, I'm going back to sleep. Xia Shi sighed. A friend of mine started a gaming company. They're recruiting pro players. It's a big firm, good pay, good benefits. I sent your resume yesterday. The interview's tomorrow afternoon. Gaming company? Fong Hung muttered. His gaze drifted back to the photo on the wall. The previous Fong Hung had been a professional esports player, once representing the country on the world stage. Talented, famous, and arrogant. But his temper ruined him. After multiple fights and a match-fixing scandal pushed by his girlfriend, his career collapsed. He was kicked out of the club, broke and disgraced. If not for Xia Shi begging the club for mercy, he might have been jailed. The interview's tomorrow, she said firmly. Clean yourself up. I'll pick you up. The line went dead before he could reply. Fong Hung stared at his phone, dazed. A former pro gamer. Huh? His eyes shifted toward the game cabin in the corner. This world wasn't the same as the one he knew. Everything looked familiar, except for one terrifying difference. The King of God's game. Every adult on this planet was forced into this game once a year. They had to spend at least 30 days inside one of 3 apocalyptic survival worlds. Each player awakened a unique talent upon entry. The Fong Hung of this world had drawn the rare S-level talent, one of only a few hundred in all of China. Fong Hung rubbed his temples. No wonder I'm broke. Guess he died from poverty too. Still, he had one lead, that job interview. But before that, might as well check out the game first. Welcome back to the King of God's space. Entering the elementary game, Zombie Apocalypse. The world flickered. When Fong Hung opened his eyes, a ghastly face was right in front of him. Holy! He stumbled back, heart racing, before realizing it was a zombie clone. Oh, right. S-level talent. He opened his status window. Talent skill, zombie clone. Talent level, S. Description: you possess a permanent zombie clone. The clone has 39.5% of your stats and 780% of your HP. Inherits basic and passive skills. Recovers fully after 7.8 hours out of combat. Resurrects automatically 27.5 hours after death. Scales with player level. Fong Hung frowned. This is S level? Feels kind of weak. He remembered that the clone couldn't think on its own. It just followed simple orders. Still, it had one advantage. It could work even while he was offline. He checked the game log. Your zombie has started collecting materials. Your zombie picked up wood ×1. Your zombie found contaminated bottled water ×1. Your zombie backpack is full, returning to shelter. Not bad for AFK farming, he muttered. Still, this can't really be top tier, right? Just as he was about to inspect his base. Warning, anomaly detected. New player identified. Conflict detected. Player recognized as newcomer. Resetting in progress. What? Fong Hung froze. All current skills forgotten. All stats and items cleared. Account reset. Remaining rebirths. 3. His eyes widened in disbelief. You've got to be kidding me. It wiped everything. Fong Hung felt a cold chill run down his spine. Great. I just crossed over, and I'm already starting from zero. A glowing system window flickered before Fong Hung's eyes. 1. Draw a new talent and keep the original talent. 2. Level up your original talent. Wait, level up my talent. Fong Hung blinked in surprise. Wasn't S level already the peak? It could still go higher? He forced himself to think it through. Randomly drawing a new talent was too risky. If he rolled something average, he'd lose his only real advantage. His zombie clone might not seem strong, but it was still an S-tier ability. If he could evolve it further, maybe it would change everything. I'll take the bet, he decided. He tapped the second option. Hint. Player chooses to level up talent. Congratulations. Obtained SSS level skill. Enhanced Super Zombie Clone. Original talent. Zombie Clone has been cleared. Talent. Enhanced Super Zombie Clone. Level. SSS. Description. You can now control a superior zombie clone. The clone inherits 50% of your attributes and 300% of your HP. It copies most of your active and passive skills. Each time you level up, you gain new zombie clones equal to your level. After death, a zombie clone resurrects automatically after 24 hours. Resurrection time shortens as your level rises. Holy, this is insane. Fong Hung shouted, grinning wide. The best part? The number of clones. At level 1, he had 1 clone. At level 2, he'd have 2 more. At level 3, 3 more, and so on. It wasn't linear growth, it was exponential. He could feel the potential burning in his veins. Finally, some luck. Hint, reset completed. Please select your initial game world. When Fong Hung's vision cleared, he was back inside the King of God's space. Huh, even my progress got wiped. He frowned. The previous owner of this body had spent years grinding the zombie apocalypse world, building a massive one-man shelter, stockpiling hundreds of boxes of materials. Gone. All gone. So even the survival stash is deleted? Great. Just great. A new prompt appeared. Choose your initial game world, difficulty level. 1. Zombie Apocalypse. 2. Wasteland Apocalypse. 3. Vampire Apocalypse. Damn it, Fong Hung sighed. So much for inheriting anything. He knew the basics. Zombie Apocalypse. Endless hordes. Over half of all players die right at the start. Wasteland Apocalypse. Nuclear ruins, mutated beasts, radiation. Vampire Apocalypse. Ruled by vampires, but easier to survive as long as you behaved. The smart choice would be Vampire Apocalypse. The right choice was Zombie Apocalypse. It fit perfectly with his talent. Zombies wouldn't attack their own kind, and his clones could roam freely, scavenging supplies non-stop. In the vampire world, they'd be hunted on sight. All right, Zombie Apocalypse it is. Hint, player has selected Zombie Apocalypse. Entering world, the world blurred, then snapped into focus. Fong Hung was standing in a dense forest. Welcome, player. Survive. Adapt. Evolve. He scanned his surroundings, quiet. No zombies nearby. Good. He checked his stats. Player. Fong Hung. Level 1. HP. 100 out of 100. Vitality. 100. Spirit. 100. Energy. 100. Strength. 5. Agility. 5. Physique. 5. Will. 5. Perception. 5. Intelligence. 5. Talent. Enhanced Super Zombie Clone. Backpack. 1x Mobile Survival Radio. The system really screwed me, Fong Hung muttered. The full reset had erased everything. He rubbed his chin, thinking. According to the federal guidelines, there were safe zones across the elementary game worlds. Civilians could seek protection there for free, but reaching one wasn't easy. The maps were huge, and players spawned randomly. Most survivors joined guild shelters run by gaming companies for safety. But those shelters charged rent in real-world money. Fong Hung sighed, and I'm broke. Perfect. Still, some shelters hired players to gather resources in exchange for short-term lodging. That was his best bet. First step, find a shelter. He pulled a mobile survival radio from his pack. It could broadcast and receive messages every 30 minutes within a 100-kilometer radius. Almost instantly, messages flooded in. It's over. District 8 again. I got Predator talent. Anyone want to team up? Looking for shelter, urgent, price negotiable. Why is District 8 open? I'm doomed. Water. I'll trade wood. Please help. Forming team to build base. Coordinates 20291*82112. Only elite players. No beggars. District 8. Fong Heng's eyes widened. A new server. The King of Gods rarely launched new zones. It only happened when Old World got overcrowded, stagnated, or cleared. When that happened, inactive players were forcibly moved to the new one. New world. New start. New chaos. And the highest death rate in the game. Fong Heng chuckled. High risk, high reward. All resources in the old servers were already monopolized by guilds and governments. But in a fresh world, everything was up for grabs. He clenched his fists. Looks like I just hit the jackpot. The ground in front of him trembled. A pale, rotting hand burst through the dirt. Then another, and another. The stench of decay filled the forest as zombies clawed their way up from the mud, standing silently before him. Move out, Fong Heng ordered. The undead lurched forward, obeying his command. A grin tugged at his lips. If he could establish a shelter first, and rent out space to others, he wouldn't just survive this apocalypse. He'd own it.
Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If there's a novel you'd love to hear more of, you can support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Depending on your tier, I'll make extra parts just for the stories you're most excited about. Usually I can only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel, but with your support, we can go beyond that. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps more than you know.
In the forest, Fong Heng followed the zombie clone and slowly moved forward. Fong Heng stopped to observe his surroundings from time to time, then bent down to pick up the basic survival materials scattered on the ground. Hint: you have obtained firewood. In an apocalyptic environment, many materials could be picked up directly, such as small stones, firewood, grass, hay, and so on. These were all materials used to make basic survival tools. They walked and stopped for nearly 10 minutes before the zombie clone in front stopped completely. Not far away, a zombie stood alone under a tree. Fong Heng frowned. He slowly squatted down and hid his body in the bushes to observe. In the apocalypse, zombies were the biggest threat. After a player defeated a zombie, there was a small chance that some tools would drop. Among them, there was an extremely important item called the Evolution Crystal. In the King of Gods game, the Evolution Crystal was the only way to increase a player's level. Generally speaking, in the early stages of the game, it was a race against time. The best choice was to think of ways to collect survival materials to survive. Wasting a large amount of time to kill a zombie was a very stupid action. After all, the drop rate of zombies was low, and the items that dropped might not be useful in the early stages. If one was accidentally infected by the zombie during a fight, it would be a dead end. The loss outweighed the gain. However, Fong Heng rolled his eyes. He was different from ordinary players. If there was a chance to kill zombies and farm evolution crystals, he could quickly upgrade to level 2. At that time, he could summon 2 additional zombie clones, greatly increasing his current strength and his hack efficiency in the early stages. Fong Heng narrowed his eyes, opened his backpack, and looked at the materials. There were enough materials. Along the way, he had collected enough basic materials to create 2 wooden spears. Fong Heng had the zombies on alert mode. Then he squatted down and opened the skill panel. In the skill panel, the basic materials page had all kinds of survival tools to survive through the apocalypse, including wooden axes, simple beds, simple bonfires, and so on. Fong Heng quickly selected a wooden spear, and a green channeling bar appeared above his head. 5 minutes later, 2 wooden spears appeared in Fong Heng's hands. Hint: you have completed the production of the wooden spear. You have obtained a wooden spear, *2. Hint: You have mastered the basic production skill. Your basic production skill experience points +2. Item: simple wooden spear. Quality: crude. Attack: 4 to 7. Description: the most basic survival weapon. It has crude workmanship and can cause relatively little damage to zombies. Fong Hung held the spear in his hand and waited. Then, he threw one of the spears to the zombie clone beside him. Fight! Fong Hung and the zombie clone each held a wooden spear and slowly approached the zombie from behind. Cheat! The zombie clone was the first to attack, and the wooden spear pierced into the rotten zombie's body. Roar! Woo! The zombie that was attacked let out a roar, then turned and pounced on Fong Hung. The clone beat you up. Why are you beating me up? Fong Hung was cursing, but his body's muscle memory was still intact. He reacted quickly and took half a step back to avoid the attack. The wooden spear in his hand stabbed forward. Cheat! The tip of the wooden spear pierced into the zombie's body, making a dry sound. Fong Hung frowned. The spear felt like it was stabbing a piece of rotten wood. Fong Hung quickly pulled out the wooden spear and stepped back. The zombie's movements were very stiff, but its defense was pretty good. Its body was still full of vigor after being pierced by the spear a few times. Fong Hung didn't dare to be negligent. He worked with his clone to circle the zombie and occasionally poked it a few times. Although the zombie was slow, if it accidentally scratched you, you would be infected by the virus. In the early stage of the game, if you were infected by the zombie virus, it's better to end the game by suicide. There was absolutely no way to survive. Fong Hung waved the wooden spear and poked the zombie's body more than 20 times. After poking it 20 times, the zombie howled and fell. Hint: you have killed a zombie. You have gained 2 survival points. Survival points were the currency of the zombie apocalypse world. Players could use them to buy items through the system store. Damn it, no evolution crystals dropped. It was demoralizing. Fong Hung shook his head repeatedly. It took Fong Hung a lot of effort and time to kill the zombie this time. The lowest level evolution crystal fragment drop rate is about 20%. The fact that it didn't drop the first time was within my expectations. If I kill a few more, it will drop eventually. Fong Hung could only comfort himself like this. There was still a margin for error. Worst case scenario, I won't log off tonight. Woo! The battle just now had made quite a commotion. The second zombie was attracted by the noise and approached Fong Hung from a distance. Again, continue. Fong Hung raised his spirits with a few shouts, lifted his wooden spear, and continued to kill the zombies. When the 8th zombie was killed by the spear, Fong Hung finally heard the notification of an item dropping. Hint: you have killed a strong zombie. You have gained 3 survival points. Hint: you have gained an evolution crystal fragment *1. Crystal. It finally dropped. Fong Hung let out a sigh of relief. He held the evolution crystal fragment in his hand and observed it. The thumb-sized crystal fragment was emitting a scarlet glow. Item: evolution crystal fragment. Item description: a special crystal fragment. It contains a powerful force and can increase the player's character experience points. Only effective on players below level 5. Bang! Fong Hung crushed the crystal fragment in his hand. The red mist that was released from the crushed fragments was absorbed by Fong Hung's palm. Hint: you have absorbed the evolution crystal fragment. Hint: your level has been increased to level 2. You have gained 2 additional zombie clones. 2 zombies crawled out of the mud, one on the left and the other on the right. They stood behind Fong Hung obediently. Haha, it's a success. Fong Hung threw the spear in his hand to one of the zombies, then lowered his head and continued to make the spear. With the addition of 2 new zombie clones, the efficiency of killing monsters would be greatly increased. He needed to find a way to level up his talent skill to level 3. At that time, he would have 6 clones. Survival? No, leveling up was the most important thing right now. Fong Hung made 2 more wooden spears, then commanded the zombie clones to knock on the big tree to make some noise to attract the nearby zombies. The plan to level up by killing zombies. Begin. This game is so interesting. Fong Hung muttered to himself, then raised his spear and stabbed at the zombie that was slowly approaching. If someone saw Fong Hung killing zombies, they would think that he was crazy. How long had it been since the game started, and he had already started killing zombies? Shouldn't this kind of thing be considered in the later stages of the game? 3 hours later, Fong Heng's character had reached level 4. A total of 10 zombie clones stood neatly behind Fong Heng. After reaching level 4, the experience points gained from using the crystal fragments would be greatly reduced. Fong Heng roughly estimated that it would take about 20 to 30 evolution crystal fragments to upgrade his talent skill to level 5. This was not something that could be accomplished in a short period. The sun was about to set, and the number and strength of zombies at night would greatly increase. It was better to find a system shelter to settle in. Thinking of this, Fong Heng took out the survival radio from his backpack. The survival radio could use the search function to search the coordinates of the nearby system shelters. The prerequisite was to spend survival points. Fong Heng had killed so many zombies along the way, and now he had a total of 172 survival points. With so many points, it could be considered a huge sum of money in the early stages. After spending 10 points to obtain the nearest location of the system shelter, Fong Heng did not delay any longer and rushed towards the shelter. Hint: you have found a simple shelter. This shelter can accommodate up to 5 people. Currently, it can accommodate 3 people. Hint: players can be protected from zombies in the shelter. If the number of people in the shelter exceeds the maximum capacity, the shelter will lose its function. Hint: after 62 hours, the shelter will lose its function. The shelter was a benefit provided to novice players by players. Under the sheltered state, zombies would not attack the shelter. Fortunately, the shelter was not full. Fong Heng pushed open the wooden door of the shelter and walked in casually. A few players who were sitting around the bonfire in the shelter stood up and stared at Fong Heng vigilantly. One of the old men even took out a crossbow and aimed it at the zombie behind Fong Heng. "Don't get agitated." Fong Heng pointed at the zombie and explained, "It's summoned by my talent skill, so it's not dangerous." Everyone looked at Fong Heng, and after making sure that the zombie behind him was standing still, they sat down again. There were 3 people in the room: a fat guy in a short-sleeved shirt, a skinny old man with a crossbow, and a young woman in light makeup and fashionable clothes. The young woman had been sizing up Fong Heng ever since he entered the room. "Brother, your skill is really scary. Come and sit down." The fat man let out a sigh of relief and invited Fong Heng to sit down. "I was wondering that since this is a shelter, logically speaking, zombies wouldn't be able to enter." The talent I just got is not bad. It's just a little ugly." Fong Heng waved his hand and ordered the 10 zombies to gather materials nearby. Then, he walked into the shelter alone. The zombie clone would not be attacked by the same kind of zombies even at night. It could maintain the hack state for 24 hours a day. "By the way, my name is Liao Bufan. He is Jimmy, and this beautiful lady is Lu Lin. My name is Fong Heng." Fong Heng sat beside the bonfire with the others. "What bad luck. I was originally in the government-built shelter, but I was suddenly judged as a passive game and got sent here. It's so annoying. This is bad. The new apocalyptic world. It will take at least a few months for the Federation to send people to build the shelter. Sai, how do we get through this?" Liao Bufan was a chatterbox. He spoke indignantly and introduced everyone's identities. The 3 of them had been judged by the King of Gods to be passive games and had been forced into the zombie apocalypse world. Liao Bufan was a university student. He had only joined the game for less than a year, and the skinny old man was in the management of a foreign company in the real world. Other than Liao Bufan, the other 2 didn't like to talk much. As the sun set, the temperature in the cabin gradually dropped. Jimmy took out some dry wood from his backpack and threw it into the bonfire, making it even hotter. "Coo, coo, coo." Liao Bufan touched his belly, which was creating the sounds, and his face turned red. He was hungry. Fong Heng also felt hungry. After fighting zombies for a whole day, he had used up a lot of energy. Lu Lin took out 2 potatoes from her backpack, skewered them on a tree branch, and roasted them on top of the bonfire. The aroma of the food soon spread out. Gulp. Liao Bufan swallowed his saliva and looked at the baked potatoes in Lu Lin's hands with great envy. "I'm quite lucky today. I've collected a few portions of potatoes. If you have any survival materials, you can exchange them with me." The black and thin old man, Jimmy, thought for a moment, took out 3 bottles of water from his backpack, and placed them in front of the bonfire. "Little girl, what do you think of this?" "It's not enough, Uncle." Lu Lin shook her head. In the early stages of the game, food is the most precious, especially in this forest environment. Elementary players cannot hunt, so food is the hardest to get. 3 bottles of water are not enough. Jimmy nodded and took out another 3 bottles of water from his backpack. 6 bottles. That's the most. I still need the rest for myself. Okay, I'll give you a potato in exchange. Lu Lin handed over a potato and put away Jimmy's 6 bottles of water. What about you guys? Do you want to exchange food with me? Liao Bufan had a bitter look on his face. He didn't have much survival experience in the zombie apocalypse, and his luck wasn't very good. He didn't collect any high-value materials along the way. He simply took out all the things in his backpack and put them on the ground. "These are all I have. You can take whatever you want, okay?" "Young man, you're really smart. You want to use these materials to exchange for food." Old man Jimmy picked up the potatoes that he had just gotten and roasted them over the bonfire. He shook his head and said, "Is this what you young people always talk about, getting something without paying?" "Don't say that." Liao Bufan looked at Lu Lin with some expectation. "How about I borrow from you? I'll return it to you tomorrow." Lu Lin refused flatly. "No." Liao Bufan looked even more miserable. "Fong Hung, what about you?" Lu Lin looked at Fong Hung and winked at him. "Do you have anything you want to exchange with me?" "No." Fong Hung shrugged. He had been killing zombies all day, so how could he have time to collect materials? However, he wasn't in a hurry. Soon, the zombie clones outside would bring him materials. Lu Lin smiled and asked, "What do you think? Tomorrow, we'll form a team and work together. During the day, you'll protect me. During that time, I'll be in charge of your food." What does that mean? Do you want to support me?" Fong Hung wondered. Fong Hung raised his head and looked at Lu Lin. "Something is wrong with you." Fong Hung couldn't help but feel that way. "Hey, wait a minute." Liao Bufan saw an opportunity and volunteered. "Rich lady, I can also help you. Tomorrow, I will help you with your work. I just need to fill my stomach." "You?" Lu Lin looked at Liao Bufan with disdain. "You could try it too, but you only have half a potato tonight." "Hey, why? Why do I only have half a potato?" Liao Bufan was angry. "Why can't I rely on my looks to earn a living? Can this world be cured?" Lu Lin smiled, but did not answer. She only looked at Fong Hung. "What do you think about my suggestion? Do you want to consider it?" Fong Hung shrugged. "No, I have other things to do tomorrow." Lu Lin was a little disappointed. She admitted that she did look for Fong Hung to form a team because of his looks, but most importantly, Lu Lin had taken a fancy to Fong Hang's talent skill. The first day was fine. As the game progressed, the rules of the real world became meaningless in the game when facing death. More and more cases of malicious snatching of materials would occur. She needed to find a partner that she could trust as soon as possible. In Lu Lin's opinion, Fong Hang's obedient zombie would be very useful in the apocalyptic environment. Lu Lin looked at Liao Bufan and said, "All right, Liao Bufan, what about you? What do you say? Half a potato." Liao Bufan was in a dilemma. He was in distress right now. The half potato that Lu Lin gave him was so small that it was not enough to fill his stomach. It was too cheap for him to agree to sell his body just like that. Fong Hung looked at Liao Bufan's conflicted expression and wanted to laugh. "All right, I'll follow you tomorrow. But tomorrow, you must give me at least 2 pieces of potatoes per meal." "Okay," Lu Lin said as she handed over half a piece of potato. Liao Bufan's face was full of smiles again. He copied Lu Lin and used a tree branch to pierce through half a piece of potato and roasted it on the bonfire. After eating the piece of potato, his satiety increased by 10 points. Liao Bufan rubbed his stomach and felt that he was not satisfied yet. He looked at Fong Hung, who was sitting in front of the fire, and asked, "Brother, are you going to go hungry tonight? You'll be in a bad state tomorrow. Why don't you follow that rich woman? For the sake of earning money, it's too shabby." Liao Bufan tried to persuade him. He had the mentality that if he had to lower his head for the sake of his life, the others should do the same. Fong Hung wasn't in a daze. He was checking the status of the zombie clone through the game system just now. The situation was good, and he had gained a lot. Fong Hung closed the game log and patted Liao Bufon's shoulder, then asked, "Brother, you had not eaten your fill just now?" "Of course. I'm not full with just half a potato. How about I give you a boiled egg in exchange for all your materials?" "You have boiled eggs?" "Not yet." Fong Hung raised his head and looked at the door of the cabin. "But I'll have them soon." "What do you mean?" Liao Bufon didn't quite understand. He raised his head foolishly and followed Fong Heng's gaze to the door of the cabin. The sound of footsteps could be heard outside the door. The skinny old man, Jimmy, narrowed his eyes and was on guard against the zombie. Then he put his hand on the crossbow. The zombie staggered to Fong Hung and threw the materials it had collected on the floor. Hint: your zombie completed a round of sourcing materials ahead of time. You have obtained firewood *2, pebbles *7, feathers *4, bird eggs *2, waste *2, plastic *1. Fong Hung waved his hand and told his zombie clone to go outside for the next round of hack. This is... Liao Bufon looked in shock at the zombie who gave Fong Hung the materials. He was so confounded that he couldn't say anything. After a long while, he finally uttered feebly, "How can a game be played like this? Look at what you're saying. These are the basics." While speaking, Fong Hung put away the materials. There were only 2 bird eggs left. He put them in front of his nose and sniffed. They're not spoiled. The zombie clone was lucky. During the search, it found a bird's nest and took 2 eggs as food. "How can I not know the basics?" Liao Bufon finally reacted. He was afraid that Fong Hung would go back on his words and hurriedly said, "It's a deal, Fong Hung. We agreed just now. I'll give you all the materials in exchange for a boiled egg." "Of course." Fong Hung put all the materials in front of Liao Bufon into his backpack. Fong Hung didn't like most of the materials Liao Bufon collected, but one of them, the evolution crystal fragments, was what he required. "Boy, you're pretty good. Your talent skill is extraordinary. It must be of a high level." Seeing that the zombies weren't threatening him, Jimmy had already put away his weapon. "It's an S-level talent skill." Fong Hung admitted it openly. "No wonder." Jimmy nodded with a smile. Living in a shelter with an S-level support-type talent skill, he could at least benefit from it. Liao Bufon, on the other hand, looked at the 2 eggs in Fong Heng's hands and drooled. He urged Fong Hung to start cooking. "Fong Hung, let's not talk about this nonsense. You've already taken my materials. Hurry up and cook. What are we waiting for? If it's boiled eggs, we will need water, right?" Lu Lin realized that Fong Heng's talent skill was more powerful than she had expected. After the initial shock, she took the initiative to show her goodwill and said, "I have water here. I can lend it to you." No need, no need." While saying that, Fong Hung raised his head to look at the door again. Another zombie staggered in through the wooden door. It stood in front of Fong Hung and took out the materials one by one from its backpack, just like before. Hint: your zombie has completed a round of sourcing materials ahead of time. You have obtained firewood *7, pebbles *2, and a glass bottle filled with river water *2. Fong Hung took out the glass bottle and placed it on the bonfire to heat it. There was a high chance that drinking the river water directly would have an adverse effect. After the water was boiled, there would be no such concern. Liao Bufon watched eagerly as the water was boiling. He couldn't help but think that Fong Heng's skill was too perfect. In the post-apocalyptic era, it was like a cheat. Fong Hung slowly waited for the water to boil. Then, he cracked the bird's egg into the glass bottle. Hint: you have completed boiling an egg. You have mastered the cooking skill experience points +1. 2 simple boiled eggs were done. Huff, huff, it's hot, it's hot. After the cooking was done, Liao Bufon eagerly took the glass bottle. He did not care that it was hot and directly gulped down a mouthful. Boiled eggs were really good stuff. It could quench thirst and also satisfy hunger. After eating a boiled egg, Liao Bufon's satiety increased by 15 points, and the feeling of thirst was also reduced by more than half. He sat in front of the bonfire and silently looked at Lu Lin. He suddenly felt that the potato he had eaten not long ago was not worth it. He had sold himself off in such a hurry. This was too much of a loss. Fong Hung slowly drank a bowl of boiled eggs. A pity, he did not care about his hunger. Lulin was right. It was very difficult to get food in the forest. Out of the 10 zombies sent out to search, only one found food. However, Fong Hung was not in a hurry. After all, the first round of search had not been completed. After a few rounds of hacking, finding food and water would not be a problem. After filling his stomach, Fong Hung started to prepare for tonight. In the early stages of the game, to spend a night peacefully, in addition to the shelter, one also needed a bonfire to keep themselves warm and a simple bed to sleep on. The bonfire was readily available here, so they just had to make sure that there was enough firewood. The production of the simple bed was also very simple. It only required the most basic firewood and grass. In a zombie apocalypse game, players were only allowed to go offline after making a simple bed. During the offline process, the game default was for the player to enter a sleep state, which allowed the player to quickly recover their energy. Moreover, their satiety would also decrease a little more slowly than usual. However, once the player's bed was destroyed during the offline process, the player in reality would immediately be drawn into the King of God's game and received a negative effect. Hint: you have completed the production of the simple bed, your basic crafting skill experience points +1. Fong Hung. Huh, Liao Bufan leaned over and scratched his head in embarrassment. I forgot that I didn't even make a bed. Why don't you lend me some materials? I'll return them to you tomorrow. There's no need to return them. Consider it a gift. Fong Hung casually gave Liao Bufan the simple bed that he had just made. The materials used to make a bed were too ordinary. They could be found almost anywhere in the wild, so they were not valuable at all. So sorry about that, but thank you. If you need me in the future, I'll help. Liao Bufan patted his chest to show that he was very reliable. The people sitting in front of the bonfire sorted out their harvest for the day and also made some basic survival tools. Fong Hung yawned. He felt a little tired, so he decided to log off and take a nap. However, there was one more thing he needed to do before that, which was to keep watch. It was necessary to take turns to keep watch at night. Although the zombies outside couldn't come in, what if other players came in? Why don't we arrange a night watch? None of them was a newbie. Seeing that no one objected, the black and skinny old man, Jimmy, followed up with what Fong Hung said and continued. Then let's allocate duties. From 12 a.m. until 8 a.m., each of us will be responsible for 2 hours of the night watch. After discussing for a while, Fong Hung chose to go online to keep vigil from 2 to 4 a.m. Okay, then let's go online 5 minutes earlier. After they came up with the night watch schedule, Fong Hung instructed the zombies to search for hack materials on an infinite loop. Everyone, I'm a little tired. I'm going offline now. See you tomorrow. After saying that, Fong Hung laid on the bed without waiting for the others to react. Hint: the player is about to quit the game. Hint: the player has been online for 7.9 hours today. You have a total of 30 hours of offline time. Please return to the game before your offline time runs out. Hint: please note that under certain circumstances, you will be forcefully pulled into the game. Seeing that Fong Hung would quit the game as soon as he said so, the remaining people in the small cabin looked at each other in dismay. In the early stages of the game, it was usually better to stay in the game for as long as possible. This way, they would be able to obtain more offline time and make up for the mandatory 30-day game time set by the King of God's game earlier. Why was this guy in such a hurry to go offline? Liao Bufan looked at Fong Hung's simple bed, shook his head, and said silently, "Big brother, you're so willful." In the forest, Fong Hung followed the zombie clone and slowly moved forward. Fong Hung stopped to observe his surroundings from time to time, then bent down to pick up the basic survival materials scattered on the ground. Hint: you have obtained firewood. In an apocalyptic environment, many materials could be picked up directly, such as small stones, firewood, grass, hay, and so on. These were all materials used to make basic survival tools. They walked and stopped for nearly 10 minutes before the zombie clone in front stopped completely. Not far away, a zombie stood alone under a tree. Fong Hung frowned. He slowly squatted. Fong Hung opened the game cabin and came out. He was hungry. He had eaten a boiled egg in the game, but in reality, Fong Hung felt even hungrier. Opening the refrigerator, Fong Hung found 2 rows of instant noodles neatly arranged inside. They were all braised beef flavor. "You're awesome," Fong Hung said, and silently took out a pack. In his previous life, Fong Hung did not have any misophobia, but felt uncomfortable living in such a messy room. After filling his stomach, Fong Hung cleaned the room and recalled the memories of this body. Ever since he was separated from his ex-girlfriend and got chased out of the gaming club, he had been hiding in his small room. Strangely, he still couldn't remember why this body chose to commit suicide. Even memories of what happened in the gaming club in the past were all very vague, including his ex-girlfriend. What was her name again? Fong Hung looked at a group photo pinned on the refrigerator in a daze. The woman in the photo had long hair and fair skin, giving people the impression of the girl next door. Fong Hung felt a pang of heartache for no reason. Forget it, don't think about it anymore. They had already broken up anyway, he thought. After eating a bowl of instant noodles to fill his stomach, Fong Hung looked at his dad on his phone and smiled bitterly. "Just watch, brother. I won't take your body for granted. I'll make your ex-girlfriend regret dumping you back then." After a tiring day, Fong Hung sat in a daze and soon fell asleep. In the game, Liao Bufan, Jimmy, and Lu Lin looked at one another. From the initial surprise to shock, and then to disbelief. Now, they were completely numb. Among the 3, Liao Bufan looked the most miserable. After Fong Hung left, a zombie would come back almost every few minutes and stand in front of Fong Hung's bed. Then it would pile up the materials it had collected on the ground one by one. Until now, the pile of materials in front of Fong Hung's bed was as tall as a human being. Liao Bufan saw very clearly that there were more than 6 potatoes in the pile of materials, and more than half of the eggs were crushed by the clumsy zombies. Liao Bufan was distressed by the waste. "Lu Lin, I think I've been deceived by you. Didn't you say that food is hard to get? Can I take back my words? No, are you still a man?" Lu Lin rolled her eyes at him. She also felt indignant. She had clearly seen that Fong Hung's talent skill was out of the norm at that time. Why didn't she take the initiative and directly seek his cooperation, or give him a few potatoes as a gesture of goodwill? Sigh. Liao Bufan let out a long sigh. Why did he sell himself for half a potato back then? Before 2 o'clock in the morning, the alarm woke Fong Hung up from his sleep. Fong Hung rubbed his face. He got up, put on his clothes, and entered the game. "Fong Hung, you're finally here. I'm going to sleep now." In the game, Liao Bufan reached out his hand weakly to greet Fong Hung. Ever since Jimmy and Lu Lin went offline, Liao Bufan yawned while watching Fong Hung's zombie clones delivering materials back and forth. It was a great mental blow. Looking at Liao Bufan's red and swollen eyes, Fong Hung said instinctively, "Oh, okay. You've worked hard. Leave the rest to me." Liao Bufan showed an aggrieved look. He moved his lips as if he wanted to say something, then sighed and quietly lay on the bed to go offline. What was going on? What happened to him? He was fine when he logged off, but why does he look half dead now? Fong Hung murmured in a low voice. He turned his head to look and couldn't help but be stunned. What the hell? The pile of materials besides the bed was as tall as 2 people. A few potatoes were squashed, some bird eggs were crushed, and egg liquid was spilt all over the ground. Even some of the glass bottles were broken as well. All right. Fong Hung imagined the process of the zombies transporting the materials. The zombies weren't that intelligent, so they could only accept simple instructions. After collecting the materials, they didn't know how to differentiate them according to categories, so they kept piling them up. Fong Hung scratched his head. He casually took out a few flattened potatoes from the supplies, skewered them using tree branches, and roasted them over the fire while he opened the game log to check. During the time he went offline, your zombie team collected firewood *412, pebbles *298, firewood *420, empty glass bottles *7, glass bottles filled with turbid water *2, clean mineral water *3, broken glass pieces *1, waste *61, potatoes *12, nails *6, canned fruits *2. However, in terms of gathering materials, the zombie clones were doing pretty well. With so many more materials, it was a little troublesome to manage them. Fong Hung chuckled and patted his head. A blissful trouble. Hint: you have completed baked potato *3, your cooking skill experience points +4. After roasting a few potatoes to fill his stomach, he drank 2 bottles of mineral water to quench his thirst. After satisfying the basic needs of satiety and thirst, Fong Hung started working. Fong Hung didn't expect the zombies' hack skill to be so efficient. The game had a weight-bearing attribute, so he couldn't put everything into his backpack. So, he needed to sort them first, and then put the materials into simple wooden boxes. It looked like a lot of materials, but for the shelter that was about to be built, these materials were far from enough. Fong Hung opened the character attribute page and checked for basic production. Then he found the simple wooden box option in the production category. The wooden box required wooden plank *4 and nails *2, and the wood plank required a lot of firewood to be synthesized, or it could be made directly from high-level wooden logs. The prerequisite for using high-level wooden logs was that the basic production level had to reach level 5. Fong Hung scratched his head. He did not have wooden logs, and the basic production level had not reached level 5 yet. Therefore, he could only use firewood to synthesize. Take your time. Fong Hung shrugged and began to use 10 pieces of firewood to synthesize into a wooden plank. After 1 minute worth of channeling, Fong Hung received a wooden plank. Hint: you have completed the production of the wooden plank. Your basic production experience points +1. Isn't this too slow? Not only did it take time to create tools, but it also consumed the player's energy points. The player's energy points were limited every day, and the only way to quickly recover his energy points was through sleeping. Why don't I hire a few people to help me with the production? I'll ask Liao Bufan. He seems to have the awareness of a toolmaker. While Fong Hung was talking to himself, the cabin was pushed open again. A zombie clone completed Fong Hung's order. It returned to the cabin, walked to Fong Hung, and piled the materials in its backpack onto the hill one by one. Facing this group of zombies who were not intelligent, Fong Hung had no choice but to order it to pile the materials in one corner of the cabin. Only then did the zombie stagger toward another direction. Zombies are good at everything, but they're not very smart. No matter what their skill level had upgraded to the SSS level, how come they're still so stupid? While speaking, Fong Hung suddenly thought of something. He remembered that after the upgrade, the zombie clone could now inherit the skills of players. Did that mean? No way. Fong Hung thought of something. He excitedly rubbed his hands and gave the zombie the order to make a wooden plank. The zombie's eyes were dull, as usual. It slowly walked to Fong Hung and picked up the firewood placed in front of him. A long channeling bar appeared on its head. Huh, awesome. Fong Hung excitedly clapped his hands. This toolmaker had started making wooden planks. Fong Hung kept staring at the channeling bar on the zombie's body until the zombie finished making the wooden planks. Hint: your zombie clone has finished making the wooden planks. Hint: you have gained a wooden plank *1. Hint: your basic production skill experience points +1. Ha ha, that's awesome. Fong Hung laughed out loud. Not only could his clones use skills, but his main body could also inherit the experience points from his skills. I'm rich. I'm rich. I'm rich. He was ecstatic. Zombies didn't need any energy points and satiety points. As long as he had enough materials, he would have 10 clones that could log in 24/7 to accumulate skill experience points. For a moment, Fong Hung felt that he was invincible. After calming down a little, Fong Hung gave the order to the zombies to continue making the wooden planks. He ran to the side cheerfully and began sorting the materials that the zombies had collected. Head down and hid his body in the bushes to observe. In the apocalypse, zombies were the biggest threat. After a player defeated a zombie, there was a small chance that some tools would drop. Among them, there was an extremely important item called the Evolution Crystal. In the King of Gods game, the Evolution Crystal was the only way to increase a player's level. Generally speaking, in the early stages of the game, it was a race against time. The best choice was to think of ways to collect survival materials to survive. Wasting a large amount of time to kill a zombie was a very stupid action. After all, The drop rate of zombies was low, and the items that dropped might not be useful in the early stages. If one was accidentally infected by the zombie during a fight, it would be a dead end. The loss outweighed the gain. However, Fong Hung rolled his eyes. He was different from ordinary players. If there was a chance to kill zombies and farm evolution crystals, he could quickly upgrade to level 2. At that time, he could summon 2 additional zombie clones, greatly increasing his current strength and his hack efficiency in the early stages. Fong Hung narrowed his eyes, opened his backpack, and looked at the materials. There were enough materials. Along the way, he had collected enough basic materials to create 2 wooden spears. Fong Hung had the zombies on alert mode. Then he squatted down and opened the skill panel. In the skill panel, the basic materials page had all kinds of survival tools to survive through the apocalypse, including wooden axes, simple beds, simple bonfires, and so on. Fong Hung quickly selected a wooden spear, and a green channeling bar appeared above his head. 5 minutes later, 2 wooden spears appeared in Fong Hung's hands. Hint: you have completed the production of the wooden spear. You have obtained a wooden spear *2. Hint: you have mastered the basic production skill. Your basic production skill experience points +2. Item: simple wooden spear. Quality: crude. Attack: 4-7. Description: the most basic survival weapon. It has crude workmanship and can cause relatively little damage to zombies. Fong Hung held the spear in his hand and waited. Then, he threw one of the spears to the zombie clone beside him. Fight! Fong Hung and the zombie clone each held a wooden spear and slowly approached the zombie from behind. Cheat! The zombie clone was the first to attack, and the wooden spear pierced into the rotten zombie's body. Roar! Woo! The zombie that was attacked let out a roar, then turned and pounced on Fong Hung. The clone beat you up. Why are you beating me up? Fong Hung was cursing, but his body's muscle memory was still intact. He reacted quickly and took half a step back to avoid the attack. The wooden spear in his hand stabbed forward. Cheat! The tip of the wooden spear pierced into the zombie's body, making a dry sound. Fong Hung frowned. The spear felt like it was stabbing a piece of rotten wood. Fong Hung quickly pulled out the wooden spear and stepped back. The zombie's movements were very stiff, but its defense was pretty good. Its body was still full of vigor after being pierced by the spear a few times. Fong Hung didn't dare to be negligent. He worked with his clone to circle the zombie and occasionally poked it a few times. Although the zombie was slow, if it accidentally scratched you, you would be infected by the virus. In the early stage of the game, if you were infected by the zombie virus, it's better to end the game by suicide. There was absolutely no way to survive. Fong Hung waved the wooden spear and poked the zombie's body more than 20 times. After poking it 20 times, the zombie howled and fell. Hint: you have killed a zombie. You have gained 2 survival points. Survival points were the currency of the zombie apocalypse world. Players could use them to buy items through the system store. Damn it, no evolution crystals dropped. It was demoralizing. Fong Hung shook his head repeatedly. It took Fong Hung a lot of effort and time to kill the zombie this time. The lowest level evolution crystal fragment drop rate is about 20%. The fact that it didn't drop the first time was within my expectations. If I kill a few more, it will drop eventually. Fong Hung could only comfort himself like this. There was still a margin for error. Worst case scenario, I won't log off tonight. Woo! The battle just now had made quite a commotion. The second zombie was attracted by the noise and approached Fong Hung from a distance. Again, continue. Fong Hung raised his spirits with a few shouts, lifted his wooden spear, and continued to kill the zombies. When the 8th zombie was killed by the spear, Fong Hung finally heard the notification of an item dropping. Hint: you have killed a strong zombie. You have gained 3 survival points. Hint: you have gained an evolution crystal fragment *1. Crystal. It finally dropped. Fong Hung let out a sigh of relief. He held the evolution crystal fragment in his hand and observed it. The thumb-sized crystal fragment was emitting a scarlet glow. Item: evolution crystal fragment. Item description: a special crystal fragment. It contains a powerful force and can increase the player's character experience points. Only effective on players below level 5. Bang! Fong Hung crushed the crystal fragment in his hand. The red mist that was released from the crushed fragments was absorbed by Fong Hang's palm. Hint: you have absorbed the evolution crystal fragment. Hint: your level has been increased to level 2. You have gained 2 additional zombie clones. 2 zombies crawled out of the mud, one on the left and the other on the right. They stood behind Fong Hung obediently. Ha! It's a success. Fong Hung threw the spear in his hand to one of the zombies, then lowered his head and continued to make the spear. With the addition of 2 new zombie clones, the efficiency of killing monsters would be greatly increased. He needed to find a way to level up his talent skill to level 3. At that time, he would have 6 clones. Survival? No. Leveling up was the most important thing right now. Fong Hung made 2 more wooden spears, then commanded the zombie clones to knock on the big tree to make some noise to attract the nearby zombies. When Lu Lin went online, Fong Hung was sorting out the materials. There were 3 simple wooden boxes placed in front of his simple bed. Yo, you're here. Fong Hung waved his hand and greeted Lu Lin. Lu Lin's smile was a little stiff. This guy had made simple wooden boxes. Lu Lin envied Fong Hang's talent, but also regretted not having a good relationship with Fong Hung. Fortunately, at least she did not offend Fong Hung. Lu Lin hesitated again and again. She took a deep breath and made her decision. Fong Hung, my talent is medicine-making. Ah! Fong Hung raised his head and looked at Lu Lin, who had introduced herself. An A+ level talent attribute. Lu Lin looked at Fong Hung. Currently, I can make some medicinal herbs for hemostasis and recovery. After level 10, I can make an antivirus serum to increase infection resistance. And after level 20, I can make gene potions to increase players' attribute level. Very powerful. Potion making was one of the rare talents in the game. After all, there were very few ways to increase a player's basic attributes in a zombie apocalypse game. Potion making was one of them. The troublesome thing was that Lu Lin would only be able to make a potion after level 20. Take the zombie apocalypse in District 7 as an example. It had been decades since the game started and 99% of the players had yet to reach level 10. How's my talent? Lu Lin asked straightforwardly. It's okay. The latter stage of the game would be very challenging, but of course, she had to survive until the later stage. Fong Hung didn't quite understand why Lu Lin would ask that. Lu Lin was indeed a little unhappy. What did he mean by it's okay? Such a talent was already very hard to find, probably 1 out of thousands. But on second thought, compared to Fong Hung's powerful talent, it was indeed okay. Soon, Fong Hung realized that Lu Lin's self-introduction was a request to form a team. Fong Hung nodded and pondered over it, not considering Lu Lin's skills for now. Indeed, the zombie clone was not omnipotent. At least, before the player's shelter was built, he still needed teammates. For example, when he went out, the materials in the shelter might be taken away by others, and the materials obtained by the zombies also needed to be sorted, as well as the transactions with the other players. Fong Hung looked at Lu Lin and hesitated. He wasn't sure if Lu Lin was suitable to be a teammate. After all, they had only known each other for 1 day. He wasn't sure what kind of person Lu Lin was. Seeing Fong Hung's hesitation, Lu Lin pouted and humphed, then began to explain. I don't like playing games, and I have no intention of developing in the game. I just hope that I can pass the time that the King of Gods forced me to play, so it's the most convenient for me to rely on you. Don't worry. As long as you guarantee my safety, if there's anything that I can be of use to you in the future, I'll do my best to help you. Originally, Lu Lin could only rely on herself when she couldn't find someone to depend on. Now that she had found Fong Hung, she naturally felt that it would be easier to rely on him. Lu Lin felt that with Fong Hung's powerful talent skill, as long as he wasn't a fool, it wouldn't be a problem for him to survive. All right, I understand. I'll provide you with 3 meals and guarantee your safety. In return, you'll work for me. Do you accept this condition? Let's cooperate. Both parties can terminate the cooperation at any time and go their ways. Deal. Fong Hung shrugged and agreed. At this stage, it was always good to have a helper. As for whether Lu Lin was suitable to be a trustworthy partner, he would have to interact with her for some time and observe her. At least Lu Lin was pretty. Lu Lin grinned. Happy working together. Fang Heng pointed at the box on the right. There's food in that box. If you're hungry, you can take it. Remember to protect it well. I have a mission for you later. Haha, you're generous. I have picked the right person. Lu Lin laughed. Ever since she joined the Apocalypse game, the pressure to stay alive was so huge that she found it hard to breathe. She had no choice but to suppress her nature and act unapproachable. Now, Lu Lin finally felt a little more at ease. She returned to her usual self, and like a happy little magpie, she skipped towards the front of the box. Wow, rich boss, you have bottled mineral water. I couldn't stand it for a long time. The boiled water here always has a strange smell. Wow, you even have canned fruits. Hearing Lu Lin crying out in surprise beside him, Fang Heng shook his head silently. Why was she so excited over such a small amount of food? At present, Fang Heng had collected enough food for him to last for several days. As the number of zombies increased, the amount of food collected would also increase. Perhaps because the former owner of his body was a night owl, Fang Heng didn't feel sleepy at all. Instead, he felt more and more energetic. After he was done organizing the materials, Fang Heng still could not fall asleep. He turned on the radio to check on the progress of the other players around him. Materials exchange. Those who want to exchange come. Lack of food. Lack of food. Lack of food. Is there anyone who wants to take me in? I beg you. Request for a group. Currently, there are 3 people in the shelter. They require talent level B level and above. If you're interested, send me a private message. Does anyone know where I can find nails? Why can't I make them? I'm starving. Do you have anything for stammers? I'll do whatever you want. Where can I find a shelter? The shelter I've found is full. Fang Heng flipped through the chat logs on the radio. Most of them were just random messages. Most of the players in the vicinity had already found shelter. On the first night, they were also hungry, so there was a huge demand for food. This was a good thing, but it was also a bad thing. On one hand, he could use the food premium to exchange for a large number of basic materials. On the other hand, he had to be careful of other players taking advantage of him. Fang Heng secretly set up a plan to create a shelter. Tomorrow, he needed to do 2 things. First, he needed to explore the surrounding area and find a suitable place to build a shelter. He also needed to find out if there were other survivors nearby and if there were camps for Apocalypse game merchants. To avoid trouble in the early stages, it was best to find a place with fewer players to build a shelter. After all, players would kill their zombies. This kind of thing often happened in the memories of this body. Second, he needed to level up. The evolution crystal fragments that dropped from killing ordinary zombies could at most increase a character's level to level 5. After that, if he wanted to continue leveling up, he needed to kill higher-level zombies or use a large number of survival points to exchange with the players. He would first level up his character to level 5 and expand the number of zombie clones to 15, further increasing the efficiency of hacking. Alright, he almost forgot. He still had to go for an interview tomorrow afternoon. Otherwise, it would be interesting if he didn't starve to death at the end of the game, but instead starved to death in the real world. While thinking, Fang Heng said, Lu Lin, tomorrow, you and Liao Bufan will go around and try to figure out the surrounding environment. Try to find a suitable place to build shelter. It's best to stay hidden. Okay, when you go, bring some food. If you find other survivors, you can exchange for nails with them. Shelter? Nails? Lu Lin was not stupid. Her eyelids twitched. She asked in disbelief, Fang Heng, you want to build your shelter? In Sucheng, a red business car was speeding along the main road. It left a trail of cars behind. Xiaxi was in the driver's seat. She had a high-nosed bridge, and as she raised her head, it revealed a fair and delicate neck. She held the steering wheel tightly with both hands, as if she was secretly competing with an invisible enemy. Fang Heng was shivering in the passenger seat. He could vaguely feel the killing intent coming from Xiaxi. She was so wild even when driving. Fang Heng realized that this body still had some memory loss. He could no longer remember how he and Xiaxi met, but he clearly remembered that he had always been annoyed with Xiaxi and his attitude towards her was not very good. It was strange. Xiaxi was quite pretty. Have you remembered all the information I sent you last night? You'll likely be asked about the development of the enterprise, and big companies will be very concerned about this aspect. Fang Heng, I'm talking to you. Do you hear me? Xiaxi frowned, turned her head to look at Fang Heng, and raised her voice by 2 levels. Fang Heng, why are you always like this? You have to pay more attention to your matters, okay? Do you not want to get out of this for the rest of your life? Madam, look at the road. Look at the car, okay? Fang Heng's face turned even paler. He was panicking to death, but Fang Heng still maintained his cold and aloof persona on the surface. He said in a deep voice, I'm listening. With your capabilities, passing the interview shouldn't be a problem. Xiaxi turned her head and carefully observed Fang Heng from the corner of her eyes. Also, if they ask about the past, control your emotions. Okay. The car stopped in front of a high-tech building. Fang Heng alighted from the car. His legs were still a little weak. Racing gangs were too scary. Fang Heng almost thought that he would lose his life on the way. Xiaxi was a bit uneasy. She was worried that Fang Heng would lose control of his temper, so she drove the car and followed him for a distance. She pressed the horn twice and poked her head out of the window. Do you want me to go with you? No need. Fang Heng tried his best to imitate the tone of the original owner of the body. Okay, then all the best. After watching Xiaxi drive away, Fang Heng heaved a sigh of relief and raised his head. In the towering technology building, the exquisite logo of the company was hung on the external wall of the building. A phoenix soared into the sky. Every feather was meticulously crafted and looked lifelike under the sunlight. It must have cost a fortune. Phoenix Sound Gaming Company. Fang Heng muttered to himself. The original owner of the body had investigated Phoenix Sound Gaming Company. In the game, players' talent skills were not fixed. When a character reached level 10, he could receive his first talent enhancement. Players needed to find their talent enhancement plan in the game to level up. Talent enhancement plan levels varied from ES. S-level talent enhancement plan was also extremely rare. According to the data released annually by the federal government, the number of players who successfully obtained and completed the S-level talent enhancement plan each year was less than 10. But the Phoenix Sound Gaming Company had the highest level, the S-level talent enhancement plan mission. The owner of this body had wanted to obtain Phoenix Sound Gaming Company's S-level talent enhancement plan before. Fang Heng scratched his head. Then, scenes of his memories surfaced in his mind. Ever since he was kicked out by the club, Fang Heng had also tried to look for a job. Because of the highly publicized and sensational match-fixing incident, any gaming company and club that had done a little background work would be aware of Fang Heng's character. The resumes that Fang Heng handed out were almost like stones dropped into the ocean, never to be seen or heard again. He was even ridiculed by some gaming companies when they replied to his resume. Phoenix Sound Gaming Company, office on the 17th floor. Fang Heng sat on a stool. Opposite him were 2 men and a woman. The 3 of them were from the management of Phoenix Sound Gaming Company, as well as the interviewers. The man sitting in the middle looked to be about 50 to 60 years old. His back was straight, and his clothes were neatly arranged without a single wrinkle. He was also in good spirits. He was Pan Guanglin, the game technical director of Phoenix Sound Gaming Company. He was in charge of the company's in-house game technology. The woman sitting on his left was about 40 years old. She gave off a shrewd and capable feeling. The middle-aged man on the right was hugging his arms. He did not even lift his eyelids from beginning to end. It was as if he was asleep. It was strange. Even though he was wearing a suit, he still gave off a sense of cynicism. The female assistant secretary introduced him. Fang Heng, a former member of an A-class gaming guild club. He has been exposed to gaming competitions since high school. He has trained for more than 10 years and has survived in the zombie apocalypse game for more than 2 years. He has an initial talent related to the zombie apocalypse game. His talent level is S. Pan Guanglin nodded repeatedly. It was the first time they met, and he had a pretty good impression of Fang Heng. Yesterday, the zombie apocalypse in the King of Gods game had opened District 8, and all the gaming companies had taken action upon hearing the news. Phoenix Sound Gaming Company was also in urgent need of talents in this field. Not to mention that Fong Hung was personally introduced by President Qin. For years after graduation, Qin Shuren won the trust of her family and underwent training to gain experience for her family business. This time, she even acquired 2 gaming companies and merged them to establish Phoenix Sound Gaming Company to enter the gaming industry. For a time, she created a huge commotion in Sucheng. It was as if she wanted to compete for the top position. Pan Guanglin was still very impressed with Qin Shuren. He said, "Since you are recommended by President Qin, it shouldn't be a problem." Huh? Exempted from the interview? Xiaxi was so highly revered. Fong Hung was surprised. Shui Yuling said, "Fong Hung, I have another question I want to ask." "Mr. Fong Hung, I'm very curious why you chose to leave the club." Fong Hung felt that the other party was not friendly. He glanced at Shui Yuling and replied, "Personal reasons." "Can you explain in detail?" "Personal reasons. I don't want to talk about these things." Pan Guanglin realized something. President Shui seems to be very concerned about this issue. Shui Yuling took out her phone and flipped through an article on it. She handed a piece of text to Pan Guanglin, who was sitting in the middle. "Director Pan, take a look at this first." On the phone was a report about Fong Hung. Match fixing? Internal discord? All kinds of negative information about Fong Hung made Pan Guanglin's face darken. He was upright and could not accept corruption or violence in a person's character. In Pan Guanglin's view, Fong Hung was eliminated due to his involvement in match fixing. The company could not accept such a person. Pan Guanglin put down the phone. "Mr. Fong Hung, please explain. If you can't give a reasonable explanation, our company will not welcome you." Shui Yuling looked at Fong Hung with a smug expression. She was here to reveal Fong Hung's true colors. The company had taken a keen interest in the newly established business department. In addition to the sudden opening of District 8 in the game, the newly established gaming department had become a hot topic in the company. Countless pairs of eyes in the company were looking at this place, including Shui Yuling. Her nephew had also participated in this interview. Unfortunately, Fong Hung was in her way. Fong Hung stared at Shui Yuling without saying a word. He felt inexplicably unhappy in his heart. What did I do to offend her? There was no such person in his memory. Pan Guanglin's face was expressionless. When he saw that Fong Hung didn't answer, he said in a low voice, "I'm sorry, Fong Hung. I made you come here for nothing. I'll explain this matter to President Qin personally." As he was speaking, the office door was suddenly pushed open. President Qin, Pan Guanglin, and the others stood up at the same time. President Qin? Fong Hung also turned around when he heard that. He looked at the woman who walked in through the door and subconsciously stood up as well. He saw a familiar face. Qin Shuren? She was Xiaxi's friend? "President Qin, I happen to have something to report to you." A surprised voice interrupted Pan Guanglin's words. "Fong Hung? Why is it you?" "Huh?" Fong Hung turned his head and looked at the person beside Qin Shuren. "Jimmy." Fong Hung never thought that he would meet a player who had gone through thick and thin in the game here. "Ha ha 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 ha." The skinny old man, Jimmy, laughed loudly. He looked very happy and walked up to pat Fong Hung on the shoulder, then turned back to look at Qin Shuren. "So everything is part of President Qin's plan. This is the big surprise you mentioned just now, right? No wonder my friend is so impressed with Phoenix Sound Gaming Company. Ha ha. I'm very satisfied with your efficiency." Everyone was baffled when they heard Jimmy's words. They only knew that Jimmy was here to discuss a partnership on behalf of a foreign joint venture company. Phoenix Sound Gaming Company valued this partnership very much. This kid knew Jimmy, and it sounded like they were very familiar with each other. Shui Yuling felt like the matter was already out of her control. Pan Guanglin was smart enough to shut his mouth. Qin Shuren's beautiful eyes quickly swept over Fong Hung. She gave the secretary a look and said, "Mr. Jimmy, as long as you're satisfied. You don't have much time in the real world. Let's talk about cooperation first." Okay. Let's talk about cooperation first." Jimmy was very happy. He nodded repeatedly. Last night, Jimmy had personally witnessed Fong Hung's powerful abilities in the game. Among other things, just the food alone was enough to make him drool. Jimmy wore a smile on his face. Well, at least he won't go hungry in the game anymore. Fong Hung thought back to the interview and felt that the old woman was targeting him. One step at a time, the development of the game was going well. After a while, the trading channel between players would open. As long as they could sell some materials, it would not be difficult to fill their stomachs. He was forced by Xia Shi to come for the interview. Fong Hung did not want to stay here for too long. He took a sip of coffee. As expected of a big company, the taste of coffee was pure bliss. The human resource lady carried a stack of documents and hurried into the reception room. Mr. Fong Hung, this is an emergency. Our company will sign an internship contract with you directly. The probation period will be half a month, and the monthly salary will be 30,000 yuan. It will start from today. You will be confirmed automatically after half a month. This is the contract. Can you see if there are any problems? Do I get to sign the contract so soon? 30,000 yuan per month? In Sucheng, 30,000 yuan was considered a high salary. However, Fong Hung hesitated for a moment. Was it really necessary to join Phoenix Sound Company? Yes, at least for now. He was short of money. The game had just been launched, and he lacked trading channels. It was difficult for him to cash out the materials he had collected, and his phone was already receiving reminders from the bank to pay his debts. Fong Hung looked over the contract carefully. Fong Hung was a little surprised. The contract was too good. The conditions were better than expected, and it made him wonder if this was a trap. 30,000 yuan a month, no mandatory working hours, any materials, equipment, skills, and other rewards that the player obtained in the game need not be given to the company. The only thing he needed to do was to complete the company's performance appraisal. If his performance was not up to par, there would be a deduction from his bonus, and in the worst-case scenario, he would be fired. There was also a bonus? Fong Hung thought to himself that since he would only be working here for a month, he would first take out 30,000 yuan to resolve the urgent matter. He would just resign after a month. Since he was accepted into the company, he could also see if he had a chance to obtain the company's S-level talent enhancement mission. He would temporarily endure it and work as a worker for a month. Okay. After thinking for a while, Fong Hung signed his name on the contract. Mr. Jimmy is an important customer of Phoenix Sound Company. President Qin hopes that you can start work immediately and ensure Mr. Jimmy's safety in the game during this period. This will be part of your internship performance evaluation. Fong Hung nodded and thought that this job was pretty good. As long as Jimmy didn't run around and cause trouble in the game, it wouldn't be difficult for him to fill his stomach and guarantee his safety. This way, he could save a lot of time and make use of it to develop in the game. It was that simple, and he could earn 30,000 yuan a month? Fong Hung suddenly had a feeling that making money was very simple. I'll take you to the business department first. Your accommodation hasn't been arranged yet. Can I arrange for you to stay in the hotel next door for the next few days? Of course. After all, it was a big company, and he had free accommodation in a hotel. Fong Hung muttered in his heart. In the gaming business department on the third floor, the lady from the human resource department had just led Fong Hung into the door when an unkempt and unshaven young man walked up to them. You're finally here. My Miss Angel. Is he the newcomer? I've been waiting for a long time. We're short of manpower. What's your level? What district are you from? As he spoke, he was sizing up Fong Hung from time to time. No. If your project team needs people, you have to report it to the higher-ups. This person isn't for you. President Qin has temporarily let him stay with you for 2 weeks. What do you mean? He's not my person? Let me tell you, now that District 8 is open, we're in urgent need of manpower. You know how urgent this situation is. Besides, I've already made the report. Don't tell me that. Fong Hung has a special mission from the boss. It's... The human resource lady was just about to explain when her phone rang again. Okay, I'll be right there. She hung up the phone and pushed Shun Qing in front of Fong Hung. Fong Hung, this is Shun Qing. You'll be working here temporarily for a few days. Follow him to familiarize yourself with the environment. Just remember to complete the mission that the boss gave you. When the boss is available, she'll talk to you face to face. After saying that, the young lady hurriedly ran away. Sigh. Shun Qing sighed and patted Fong Hung's shoulder. Are you new? I'm Shun Qing, the team leader of Team 3 of the business department. Which server are you from? Server 8. As Fong Hung spoke, he looked around. The interior of the entire office of Team 3 was very big. There was a row of game cabins on one side of the room, and 1/3 of them were running. Most of the employees were sitting in front of their computers, busying themselves with their work. It looked like they were in dire stress. Oh, it's also a new server. It must be very busy. Shen Qing nodded, and then he pointed at a row of advanced gaming cabins in the room. Team 3 doesn't have so many rules. The 7 gaming cabins here are still new. You can choose one and use it as you like. If you want to eat, it's on the 7th floor and the 8th floor. Brother Qing, come take a look. There's a big deal in District 7. The client is rushing us. I'm coming. Shen Qing shouted and said to Fong Hung, take a look first. If you have any problems, feel free to look for me. Fong Hung nodded silently. The business department seemed very busy. It was good that no one cared about him. Just now, the secretary said that he would start work today, so it was time to go to work, right? Playing games was part of his job scope. After all, the early stages of the game were the most pressing, and they could not be delayed. Fong Hung walked to a new game cabin, opened it, and directly entered the game world. There were 2 ways to enter the King of God's game. One was to enter the game voluntarily, using items like the game cabin to enter the game. The game cabin was set with an emergency button. Once it was pressed, the player in the game would receive a prompt. The other option was to join the game involuntarily. The player would be pulled into the game world by the King of God's game and disappear from the real world. This method was considered extremely dangerous. Opening his eyes, Fong Hung appeared in the system's shelter again. Inside the cabin, wood, stones, and other materials were randomly thrown on the ground. A zombie staggered into the cabin and threw the collected materials on the ground one by one. Seeing this, Fong Hung rubbed his temples as he experienced a little headache. Lu Lin and Liao Bufan were out. According to their plan, this morning, Lu Lin and Liao Bufan would start to search the area on the west side of the cabin. They would find out the situation there and see if they could find a suitable place to build a shelter. Jimmy was still in the real world, just like him. In this way, there was no one in the entire shelter. If someone came in and saw the materials lying all over the ground, wouldn't they be laughing in their dreams? He needed to build a shelter as soon as possible to store the materials and prevent other survivors from intruding. Fong Hung opened the game log to check. Hint, during the hacking, your zombie team collected firewood *221, nails *7, instant noodles *1, parts *1, insulator *1, turbid water *4, bird eggs *3, bricks *7. Found instant noodles. Fong Hung summoned all the zombies to stop the hack and return to the cabin. He then made himself another bowl of instant noodles. 20 minutes later, Fong Hung walked out of the cabin after eating and drinking his fill. Behind him were 10 zombies holding wooden spears. Their combat ability was not bad. In the morning, Fong Hung had already circled the cabin a few times, clearing away the zombies that were wandering around and farming some evolution crystal fragments. Perhaps it was because they were in the early stages of the game, but the King of God's game was more merciful. There were not many zombies that had resurrected around the cabin, and even after circling twice, he only managed to obtain 2 crystal fragments. Forget it. Let's put aside killing the zombies for now and move on to the next step of the plan. Nails. To build a player's shelter, there were 2 types of materials that were essential: wooden planks and nails. Fong Hung had zombies as coolies, so it was not a big problem for him to make and collect wooden planks. On the other hand, it was a little difficult to obtain nails. It was very difficult to satisfy the demand of building a large shelter by simply collecting materials in the wild and trading with players. The other way to obtain them was to make them themselves. This would require cast iron and a furnace. The materials needed to make a furnace were very complicated, and they also needed to rely on extremely high skill levels. It was almost impossible to do so in the early stages, so they could only buy them from the Apocalypse merchant camps. Fong Hung turned on his survival radio and used it to send messages to nearby players. 20 survival points for the location of the Apocalypse merchant camp. If you know anything, Send me a private message. A few scattered messages appeared. What the heck? 20 survival points? Boss is so rich. What is this? Who doesn't know how to brag? I even have 100 points. Brother, you didn't just spend your time killing all the zombies in one day, right? What are you pretending for? If you can get 20 survival points, I'll chop off my head and kick it like a ball. 2 survival points for a bottle of water. What are you thinking about? It's okay if there's no water. There's a stream in the forest. Just drink it and you'll be done. Following that, the topic was completely changed. Fong Hung was speechless when he saw the player's feedback. Just as he was about to turn off the radio, a private message from a player popped up in his personal message. Brother, I know the location of the Apocalypse Merchant, but you have to give me some points first. Fong Hung glanced at the other player's ID, Lu Yu. He immediately transferred 20 survival points through the system. When Lu Yu received the survival points transferred by Fong Hung, he was a little surprised at first. There was such a powerful player who could transfer 20 points to him without even blinking an eye. Lu Yu's thought about it, and he quickly understood that the other party belonged to an organized team. Brother, you're very straightforward. The Apocalypse Merchant camp coordinates are at 21232, 29123. It's very safe there. I've just been there. Fong Hung looked at the map. The coordinates of the Apocalypse Merchant camp that the other party had marked were pitch black. The distance wasn't too far, and it would only take about half an hour to get there. He would go over and take a look first. Fong Hung blended into the zombie crowd and headed toward the location of the Apocalypse Merchant camp. More than 10 zombie clones were gathered together, and they could completely crush ordinary zombies. If they encountered ordinary zombies, they would be pierced into a sieve by wooden spears. If ordinary players encountered them along the way, they would mistakenly think that they had encountered a small zombie crowd and run far away, not daring to cause any trouble. After walking for nearly half an hour and crossing a hill, Fong Hung stopped in his tracks. He saw it, the Apocalypse Merchant camp. In a zombie apocalypse game, players were not the only survivors. There are also a few NPCs and aborigines. Some of the NPCs were staying in the Apocalypse Merchant camp. Players could talk to them and interact with them. If they were lucky enough, they might even be able to trick an NPC mercenary to return as a bodyguard. Other than that, players could receive quests from the Apocalypse Merchant and exchange survival points for materials. Fong Hung had a zombie clone stay on standby and enter the camp alone. After all, the zombie clone was also a zombie. It was restricted by the system. Once it got close to the Apocalypse Merchant camp, it might be attacked by the people from the camp. In the camp, the bearded NPC warmly greeted the newcomer, Fong Hung. Hey, survivor, you're lucky to have met me during the apocalypse. You're the 18th survivor I've seen here, so you don't get any rewards. This is my new camp. It's pretty good, right? I can guarantee your safety here, but it's very cheap to charge 500 survival points for one night. Fong Hung ignored the NPC's initial lines and nodded. Is there any mission for me to do? You came at the right time. We just set up a gathering point here, and there are many things that we need help with. See if any missions are suitable for you. Fong Hung opened the mission panel. Rows of mission requirements were refreshed. Fong Hung's eyes were immediately attracted by the first row of missions. Clearing the zombies in the lumberyard camp. Difficulty, SSS. Description, clear all the surviving zombies in the target location. Reward, for 1,000 survival points. Description, as the time in the game world increases, the difficulty and reward of this quest will gradually decrease. It was an SSS level mission. The memory of the previous owner of the body had been in the game for 2 years, and the highest difficulty level of the quest that he saw was only at S level. Notwithstanding whether he could complete it or not, Fong Hung never had the chance to get an S-level mission before. The new server was not bad, and no one had ever done an SSS-level mission. Fong Hung lowered his head and reviewed the mission requirements again. Kill zombies? It was just the right time. Fong Hung was relieved. The main purpose of this SSS-level mission was to kill zombies. It was very compatible with him. He could earn survival points and also farm evolution crystal fragments. I accept this mission. Oh, it's a very challenging mission. There's a lumberyard camp by the river. There are a lot of zombies there. If I let them do whatever they want, they might pose a threat to my camp. I need you to completely clear out the zombies in the lumberyard camp. Are you sure you want to accept this mission? You have 3 days to complete this mission. Yes. Very good. Look, this is the first time we've met. To ensure that you can complete it, you need to give me a deposit. I think 167 survival points should be it. You would agree, right? Don't worry. After completing the mission, I will return the deposit in full. 167 points were exactly what Fong Hung currently had left. Fong Hung knew that this was one of the settings of the game. Hidden score. The King of the Gods had an initial hidden score for each player. Every time a mission was completed, the King of the Gods would evaluate the overall completion of the mission and update the hidden score. The player would receive a mission that was more difficult than the hidden score, and the Apocalypse Merchant would propose to collect a deposit. The greater the difference between the difficulty of the mission and the hidden score of the player, the more the deposit would be collected. However, the highest deposit would not exceed all the survival points of the player. Once the mission failed, the deposit would not be returned. Deal. Hint. 167 survival points have been deducted from you. Hint. You have accepted the mission of the Apocalypse Merchant, Vettel, to completely clear the zombie horde in the lumberyard camp. Hint. During the apocalypse, one person's power is too small. You can try to seek help from other survivors to complete the mission together. I wish you success. Also, I have to remind you that the zombies there are quite troublesome. You can't easily finish them off by yourself. You need to find some help. Don't die in there. Thank you. Fong Hung left the Apocalypse Merchant camp without looking back. Find help? No. He was going to farm alone. The early stage players did not even have enough food to eat. On one hand, they had to seize the time to collect materials to survive. On the other hand, they had to think of ways to strengthen the shelter provided by the system. They did not have the time to kill the zombies. So what if they found help? How much contribution could they make to clearing the camp? The early players' combat power was very low. Fong Hung was different from ordinary players. Not only did he have the spare energy to kill zombies, but he was also very eager to kill zombies to obtain the evolution crystal fragments. While he was in thought, Fong Hung had already left the survival camp. He happened to notice 2 survivors walking toward the Apocalypse Merchant's direction. The 2 parties looked at each other and did not say anything. They just brushed past each other. 5 minutes later, a scream came from the survival camp. What the hell? The SSS level mission was taken away by someone. Is he crazy? He might be a newbie. He didn't understand the rules and directly accepted the mission. You're right. Liu Yu nodded, but his head was filled with questions. The person who accepted the mission wouldn't be the big boss who spent 20 survival points to ask him for the location of the camp, right? No way. No matter how powerful he is, he won't be able to clear all the zombies in that area. Thinking about the scene he had seen before, Liu Yu felt his scalp go numb. The lumberyard camp was not far from the Apocalypse Merchant camp. 15 minutes later, Fong Hung had reached the outside of the lumberyard camp. He hid in a bush and observed in the dark. At first glance, he saw hundreds of zombies occupying the lumberyard camp. The area was densely packed, and the whimpers of the zombies filled his eardrums. Anyone who saw this scene would feel their scalps go numb. Fong Hung didn't expect that there would be so many zombies. He rubbed his hands excitedly. Just in time. This will give me a chance to collect evolution crystal fragments. Fong Hung waved his hand, and the 10 zombies who had been following behind him immediately took action. They slowly walked into the lumberyard camp with wooden spears in their hands. The zombies in the camp didn't sense the 10 intruders. They just stood there foolishly. Cheat. The zombie clone raised its spear and stabbed into the back of a zombie in front of it. The zombie that was stabbed by the wooden spear slowly turned its head and glanced at its kind of zombie expressionlessly. Ordinary zombies couldn't feel pain. Their minds were only occupied by the basic desire to eat meat. They wouldn't understand, nor would they think about why another zombie would suddenly stab them. It continued to stand there in a daze. The zombies in this lumberyard camp were like lambs waiting to be slaughtered. They stood there silently, being attacked by Fong Hung's zombie clones time and time again until they died. Hint. Your zombie clone has killed a weak zombie. 1 survival point. Hint. Your zombie clone has killed a strong zombie. 3 survival points. Hint. Your zombie clone has killed a strong zombie. 3 survival points. Obtained evolution crystal fragment *1. Hint. Your zombie clone has killed. At this moment, Fong Hung was hiding in the bushes at the entrance of the camp, quietly reading the messages in the game log. Heck, this game was awesome. At first, watching zombies kill monsters was indeed a little exciting. But after the initial excitement faded, Fong Hung, who was a little bored, sat down on the ground, took out a can of canned fruit from his backpack, and started to eat. It can't be helped, his talent skill was just too powerful. In the zombie apocalypse world, getting a zombie clone as your talent was really useful, killing monsters without suffering any injuries, especially after the number of zombie clones was growing in magnitude. The efficiency of killing monsters had greatly increased. If it was another apocalyptic world, like the Wasteland Apocalypse, the slow-moving zombie clones would have already been cut into pieces by the mutated creatures. It wouldn't have been like now, where the silly zombies were all standing where they were and letting you kill them. Hint. You have completed the clearing of the camp. Hint. You have completed the mission of clearing the lumberyard camp. Please return to the Apocalypse Merchant camp as soon as possible and look for the Apocalypse Merchant Vettel to receive the mission reward. 3 hours had passed by the time the game notification sounded. It took 3 hours to strike those restless zombies to death. It was conceivable how time and effort ordinary players would have to take to clear out the zombie camp. The zombie clones walked out of the camp one by one, and through the evolution crystal fragment that they dropped from killing the zombies in front of Fong Hung. Hint. You have obtained evolution crystal fragment *47. I'm rich, he thought to himself gleefully. Fong Hung grabbed a bunch of shiny evolution crystal fragment from the ground and crushed them in his hand. Bang! A thick blood mist exploded in his palm. Fong Hung felt a weak force enter his body through his palm. Bang! 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 The blood mist exploded one after another. Hint. Your character's level has risen to level 5. The soil behind him stirred and 5 newly resurrected zombie clones joined the team. Fong Hung was quite satisfied. His zombie army had expanded by 1/3, and its combat power had increased greatly. After players reached level 5, normal evolution crystal fragments could no longer provide experience points. They needed a higher level of complete evolution crystals to upgrade further. The method to obtain a complete evolution crystal was rather troublesome. Under normal circumstances, only elite monsters had a chance of dropping it. There were other ways to obtain a complete evolution crystal. For example, the Apocalypse Camp had a small probability of selling a small number of complete evolution crystals. Some players could use special skills or talents to reassemble the fragments to obtain a complete evolution crystal. Currently, it was still a little difficult to obtain a complete evolution crystal. Fong Hung would not consider it for the time being. Fong Hung put the remaining 13 pieces of the evolution crystal into his backpack and led the zombie group into the abandoned lumberyard to collect materials. 10 minutes later, Fong Hung was surrounded by a pile of materials. Hint. Your zombie group has searched the lumberyard camp. You have obtained small barrels of gasoline *2, firewood *21, cooking pot *1, steel logging axe *33, log *291, abandoned parts *23, worn-out mountain bike *1, scrap material *2, rags *21, frozen dumplings *10, lumberyard worker's jacket *24. Good stuff. A mountain bike. Fong Hung's eyes lit up. A treasure that could greatly increase the speed of exploration in the wild. A transportation tool. In the forest environment, sometimes a mountain bike was even more useful than a military truck. It could greatly reduce the time to return home. There was also the steel logging axe. A large amount of wood was needed to build the shelter. With the steel logging axe, the zombie clone could harvest wood more efficiently. I'm rich. I'm really rich. There are still so many finished logs, which save him a lot of logging time. Gasoline. With generators, electricity could be generated, and the vehicle also needed gasoline as fuel. Whether it was in the early, middle, or late stages, gasoline was an extremely important material. Frozen dumplings. That's great. They were going to be tasty. Yeah, there were even clothes. Most of the ordinary clothes in the game did not have any attributes. Fong Hung took a look at the clothing description. Item, lumberyard jacket. Description, when worn, it can increase defense by 1 point. Wearing a lumberyard jacket and lumberyard pants at the same time can increase logging efficiency by an additional 25%. 1 defense point was not bad, but the suit was too ugly. Fong Hung thought for a moment, then waved his hand to call the zombie clone to come over and let it put on the suit. Not bad, not bad. It fits very well. After putting on a lumberyard suit, the zombie didn't feel out of place at all. It even gained 1 defense point. Although 1 defense point was better than nothing for the zombie, the extra 25% of logging efficiency provided by the suit was what Fong Hung wanted. The harvest after clearing out the lumberyard camp was amazing. Looking at the materials piled up on the ground, Fong Hung began to worry again. His backpack was not big enough now, so he could not bring all these things back at once. It was going to be dark in half an hour, so it was not realistic to go back and forth between the shelter and the lumberyard camp. Helplessly, Fong Hung could only bring some valuable food and logging axes, temporarily throwing the logs and other materials that were heavier on ground. The rest of the materials could not be wasted. After sunset tonight, he would let the zombies carry them back to the system's shelter again and again. Fong Hung packed his backpack full to the brim and rode his bicycle to the Apocalypse Merchant Camp to report about the completion of the mission. Oh, you completed the mission so quickly. In the Apocalypse Merchant Camp, Big Beardy was surprised to see Fong Hung return so soon. Very good, young survivor. You have done very well. Your performance has impressed me. Hint, you have completed the mission to clear the lumberyard camp. You have received the praise of the Apocalypse Merchant Vettel. Hint, you have received 4,167 survival points. Hint, your friendship with Vettel has increased. Hint, because you completed the mission in a very short period, your friendship with the Apocalypse Merchant has increased significantly. It's rare to see such an outstanding young man like you. Recently, a few of my friends are looking for someone like you. Have you heard of the Dark Knights? Dark Knights. It was a hidden mission. Fong Hung was both surprised and happy. His hidden score had reached the Dark Knights so quickly. In the memories of this body, the Dark Knights were related to the main storyline mission of the game world. Only players with a hidden score higher than a certain level in the King of Gods game were qualified to obtain it. Moreover, there were quite harsh hidden trigger conditions. In the past, Fong Hung even heard rumors in the gaming club that the Dark Knights were related to clearing the zombie apocalypse world. It seems that you've heard about it. The Dark Knights are an organization that was established after the disaster. They've been looking for ways to save the entire human race. An old friend of mine is a member of the Dark Knights. If you're interested, I can recommend you to join the Dark Knights. I'm very interested. Very good. The Dark Knights need strong survivors, so you need to make some achievements to prove your capabilities. What do you need me to do? There's a small town 200 kilometers away from here. There's a T-virus serum in the director's office on the 3rd floor of the town's community hospital. I hope you can find it and bring it back safely to me. After completing the mission, I will take you to find the guide of the Dark Knights. Hint, player has triggered the mission, find the T-virus serum. Mission name, find the T-virus serum. Mission description, find the T-virus serum and hand it over to the Apocalypse Merchant Vettel. You can find the T-virus serum in the director's office on the 3rd floor of the community hospital in Hopetown. You can also find the T-virus serum through other means. Hint, as time passes, the antivirus serum in Hopetown may be taken away or destroyed by the survivors ahead of time. Mission time limit, 60 days. The difficulty has increased so much all of a sudden. Fong Hung frowned and muttered to himself in a low voice. During the apocalypse, there were a lot of zombies in the city. The probability of encountering mutated zombies in the city was also higher, and the danger was greatly increased. In his original plan, the exploration of the city would at least be considered after the construction of a shelter was completed. Fortunately, this mission gave him a full 60 days to complete. In theory, he only needed to find the serum before the other players. This was the best chance for him to come into contact with the main storyline mission of the game world. Fong Hung analyzed briefly and immediately chose to accept the mission. There was no penalty for failure anyway. I will help you get the serum. I admire your confidence, Survivor. I wish you success. Big Beardy nodded in approval. Another suggestion: take advantage of the fact that the antivirus serum has not been destroyed. The sooner you get it, the better. Fong Hung understood that Big Beardy was hinting at him. The faster he completed the mission, the higher the reward provided by the game. However, he really couldn't complete the mission in such a short time. Thank you. Fong Hung smiled bitterly and continued. Also, I want to exchange for some materials. After completing the mission, the 4,167 survival points reward was added to his account, together with the 1,300 points which he obtained from clearing the zombies. Fong Hung now had a huge sum of 5,520 survival points. The new world had just opened 2 days ago. Even an advanced gaming guild would not be able to raise such a huge sum of money. Of course you can. The materials here are cheap and good. In addition, you've just helped me a lot. I can give you a friendship price. Thank you. Fong Hung knew that this was the benefit of increasing his favorability. He could enjoy a small discount when he exchanged for materials. Big Beardy waved his hand, and an exchange list appeared in front of Fong Hung's eyes. Fong Hung quickly browsed through the sales catalog. The Apocalypse Merchant provided a variety of materials in the exchange list. In addition to food, there were also some sophisticated high-grade materials, and even guns and ammunition were available for sale. However, the price of guns was just as shocking. Originally, Fong Hung only wanted to buy a few furnaces. However, when he saw the modified motorcycles on the list, he immediately hesitated. The modified motorcycles had a detachable two-wheeled rack behind them, which could store a large number of materials. The modified motorcycles were excellent tools for both traveling alone and transporting supplies. The only drawback was that they burned oil, but he had just found 2 tanks of oil from the lumberyard camp. Fong Hung was in a dilemma. He wanted both of them. However, in terms of price, he could only buy 3 furnaces or a modified motorcycle. If only he had a little more survival points. What? You don't like these things? Seeing Fong Hung's distressed expression, Vettel thought that he was not satisfied. So he waved his hand with a smile and opened another exchange column in front of Fong Hung. Then take a look at this place. These are my private collections, and they're generally not open to the public. In addition, you can only exchange the materials here at the original price, and you're not allowed to have discounts. Fong Hung's eyes lit up. The Apocalypse Merchant had a hidden exchange column? This was the first time he had heard of it. Big Beardy. He hit it quite well. Seeing the goods provided by the Apocalypse Merchant in the hidden exchange list, Fong Hung's breathing became a little hurried for a moment. There was a skill book for sale. What motorcycle? What forged furnace? Their combined value could not even be compared to this skill book. Fong Hung reached out his hand and tapped on a skill manual. He looked at Vettel excitedly. Uncle, I want this. Item: Apocalypse Survival, Strength Training. Type: Skill book. Player has not mastered this skill. Description: after learning this skill, you will be able to master the skill, Strength Training. Each level will increase the player's basic strength points by 0.2 points. This skill can be upgraded to level 20. The skill level does not exceed the current player's level. Of course you can. It's a very smart choice. You only need 1,500 points to buy this skill book. It can help you to provide a decent fighting strength in your quest for survival. Vettel shrugged. What's better than investing in yourself? In the King of Gods game, players could not obtain any attribute gains just by leveling up. Therefore, a skill book like this had already been sold for millions in the real world. Fong Hung licked his lips and pointed at the remaining 2 skill books in the exchange list. And these 2, physical training and agility training. I'll take these 2 books as well. Okay, a total of 4,600 survival points. Hint: you have spent 4,600 survival points to purchase the following skill books on strength training, physical training, and agility training. After leaving the Apocalypse Merchant camp, Fong Hung almost could not hold back his laughter. Several million. Each of the 3 skill books in his hands could easily sell for several million. Not to mention that this was a newly opened server. After some time had passed, the price of the skill books would increase by several times. Yesterday, Fong Hung was still worried about his bank debt. Now, a few million was within his reach. Fong Hung put away the smile on his face and tapped the 3 skill books worth a few million on his head, without the slightest hesitation. Hint: you have learned the skill Apocalypse Survival, Strength Training, Apocalypse Survival, Agility Training, Apocalypse Survival, Physical Training. Isn't it just a few million? I'll earn more as time goes, he thought. The Apocalypse Merchant was right. Only by improving himself could he earn more money. Fong Hung had a feeling that this game would completely change his fate. Player: Fong Hung. Level 5. HP: 102 of 102. Vitality: 100 out of 100. Spirit: 100 out of 100. Energy: 83 out of 100. Strength: 5.2. Agility: 5.2. Physique: 5.2. Will: 5. Perception: 5. Intelligence: 5. Talent skill: Enhanced Super Zombie Clone. Normal skill: Strength Training, Level 1. Skill description: increases strength attribute of the current skill level by 0.2 star. Skill: Physical Training, Level 1. Skill description: increases the physical attribute of the current skill level by 0.2 star. Skill: Agility Training, Level 1. Skill description: increases the agility attribute of the current skill level by 0.2 star. Life skill: Basic Crafting, Level 1. Skill description: creates basic apocalypse survival items. Increasing the skill level can increase the production speed and unlock more survival items. Skill: Basic Cooking, Level 1. Skill description: you can cook delicious food. Increasing the skill level can reduce the probability of cooking failure and slightly increase the taste of delicious food. Fong Hung tried to clench his fist to feel the changes in his body. It seemed like he was a little too strong, right? Damn it. Why didn't he feel anything when he spent close to 10 million yuan? Seeing that the sky was getting darker, Fong Hung did not delay any longer. He rode his mountain bike back to the cabin so that he could study the books properly when he got back. Inside the cabin, Liao Bufan watched helplessly as Fong Hung opened the packages of quick frozen dumplings and threw them into the pot. He swallowed his saliva. Fragrant. It was too fragrant. The fragrance went straight into his nose. In comparison, the 2 baked potatoes in his hands were simply tasteless. Raising his head, Liao Bufan said seriously, "Fong Hung, I decided to work with you in the game from now on." Okay. Fong Hung shrugged. He had one more tool, man. You have to take care of the food. Deal. Okay. Liao Bufan waved his fist excitedly. Tonight, he had dumplings to eat. Jimmy drank a mouthful of hot tea and said, "Fong Hung, I may not have much time in the game during the day, so I'll have to trouble you." Of course. In his mind, Fong Hung added, "It's all work. After all, the monthly salary is 30,000 yuan. My talent attribute can make crossbows. Due to the limitation of my energy, I can't make many crossbows every day. Thank you, this thing is a great help." In the early stages of the game, crossbows were used for long-range attacks. Whether it was hunting, dealing with zombies, or dealing with other hostile survivors, they were extremely effective. In the game, Jimmy probably didn't want to reveal his real identity, so he didn't like to talk too much. He nodded slightly. At first, Jimmy scoffed at Fong Hang's plan to build a shelter in the game. But now he knew that the Phoenix Sound Company must be behind Fong Hang's plan of building the shelter. Jimmy didn't mind giving him a little help. The dumplings were soon cooked. Lacking bowls and chopsticks, they took the glass bottles and divided the dumplings. While the outside players were still hungry, they could hide in the system shelter and cook dumplings to eat. Thinking of this, Liao Bufan was particularly excited. He ate one dumpling at a time and didn't forget to give his opinion. "It's a pity there's no vinegar. Otherwise, it will be perfect." "You're the nosy one." Lu Lin cleared her throat and said, "Fong Hung, Liao Bufan and I have searched about 20 kilometers to the west during the day. We've noticed two system shelters. Players and survivors are living in them. I've talked to the survivors, and I'm going to bring a small amount of food to trade with them for cast iron and nails tomorrow. Also, we found an abandoned prison. There are a lot of zombies in there. It's scary. Liao Bufan swallowed a dumpling and added, I think this is the biggest threat. Once the zombies escape, we'll be implicated. We have to be careful. Fang Heng sensed something and raised his head. Prison. Yes, all the people in there are infected. I wanted to get closer to see if I could find some weapons in the prison. *MN. As soon as I got closer, zombies swarmed out of the house. There were at least thousands of them. Fortunately, they were stopped by the barbed wire outside. Liao Bufan shuddered in fear at the thought of it. I don't think the barbed wire is very reliable. Luckily, we were able to escape quickly. Fang Heng nodded and said, This is a good place to build a shelter. What? Liao Bufan was so stunned that he slowed down when putting the dumplings into his mouth. He thought that Fang Heng must be crazy. Brother, don't tell me you want to build a shelter in the prison. Give up this unrealistic idea. What? Fang Heng raised his head and asked, Don't you think the prison is good? With the prison as the outer defense and the primary shelter on the inner side, we can have double protection and double security. We can slowly expand in the future. Brother, stop fooling around. Building a shelter in the prison means that we need to fill up the outer prison. The prison is too big. It will cost us a lot of manpower and resources. After going through his analysis, Liao Bufan stuffed a mouthful of dumplings into his mouth. He felt smug and was waiting for the others to compliment him. But he didn't get that compliment. After a long time, Jimmy drank a mouthful of soup and said, Young man, we don't lack materials now. Liao Bufan was speechless for a moment. He glanced at the pile of materials that covered half of the wooden house and couldn't help but scratch his head. All right, even so, how are you going to deal with the zombies in the prison? Don't worry about that. I have a plan. Fang Heng was confident. Zombies? Of course, they will all be stabbed to death. Fang Heng, you didn't see the situation back then. The prison is very big. There are at least 3,000 to 4,000 zombies in there. It's not easy to deal with them. Yeah, I'll be careful. Fang Heng remained calm on the surface, but in his heart, he was beaming with joy. 3,000 to 4,000 zombies. That was 7,000 to 8,000 survival points. He hoped that there would be as many zombies as possible. It would be best if he could gather 10,000 survival points and buy all the modified motorcycles and furnaces from the Apocalypse Merchant. Lu Lin and Liao Bufan looked at each other. They saw the nonchalant look on Fang Heng's face. Did he have a way to deal with zombies? Fang Heng, do you think we should reinforce this shelter tomorrow? The system's shelter protection will be ineffective the day after tomorrow. Fang Heng lowered his head and thought for a moment. There was still a huge gap in the number of nails needed to build a personal shelter. Tomorrow, you would have to clean up the zombies inside the prison. The construction of a player's shelter could not be completed in less than 2 or 3 days. They would have to stay in this shabby place for the next few days. Fang Heng did not want to be forcefully pulled online by the game when the shelter was under attack at night. The reinforcement of the cabin had to be put on the agenda. Fang Heng patted Liao Bufan on the shoulder and said, Then, brother, I'll leave the reinforcement of the shelter to you. You'll reinforce the cabin tomorrow and watch over it. Okay. Liao Bufan agreed and patted his chest proudly. I forgot to mention that my talent is reinforcement and maintenance. It increases the reinforcement efficiency by 20% and reduces the consumption of materials by 20%. This skill saves materials. Do you know that you got a good deal by hiring me? Creak. The sound of the wooden door being pushed open interrupted Liao Bufan's bragging. A zombie in a lumberyard uniform staggered in from outside. The people in the cabin turned their heads to look at the zombie. The zombie clone threw the piles of logs from its backpack onto the ground. It didn't care about the stares of the people. It turned around and left the cabin again. Hint: your zombie has completed a round of material transportation. You have gained logs *10. You have gained a skill physical training experience point plus 20. Hint: your zombie has started a new round of material transportation. Liao Bufan opened his mouth. This time, he was completely in awe. He could finally see that Fong Hung didn't lack materials at all. Fong Hung didn't notice the change in Liao Buffon's expression. His attention was now focused on the game log. The zombie clone could also provide experience points for skills. This was a really good deal. After eating and drinking his fill, Fong Hung logged off first. At 8:30 p.m., Phoenix Sound Gaming Company was still brightly lit. Most of the game cabins in the office were running, and there were still many employees busy in front of their computers. Fong Hung saw that his game cabin had an eye-catching note and a room card stuck on it. "Mr. Fong Hung, I've already booked room 1602 for you in the hotel next door. This is your room card. If you have any questions, please contact me. My contact number is 1272. After getting the room card, he returned to the hotel and went to sleep. After leaving the company, Fong Hung flipped through his phone. There were more than 10 missed calls on his phone. All of them were from Xiaxi. Fong Hung slapped his forehead. Oh no, he forgot to tell Xiaxi about the interview today. Fong Hung was in a good mood now. He casually replied to her message. "Thanks to you, I've passed. I'll treat you to a meal when the time comes." Something was wrong. After sending the message, Fong Hung felt a little regretful. This tone was not suitable for the cold and aloof image of the original owner of this body. Before he could retract the message, Xiaxi immediately replied, "Okay, I'll take note. Wait for me to come back." Fong Hung was stunned. "Where are you going?" "To Seoul, to play a match." "What match?" Could it be that She was also a professional player? Why did he not have any impression of this matter? Fong Hung scratched his head, feeling a little frustrated. He noticed that he still had a lot of lost memories. "Qin Shuren is my good friend. She just took over the company recently. You have to help her too." "Help her? No way. Does the boss still need my help?" "As long as she doesn't fire me." Fong Hung cursed silently in his heart, but he still obediently replied with a message. "Okay." The hotel room was very big, and it was far more comfortable than the small and run-down room from before. After a tiring day, Fong Hung slept until dawn. The next day, Fong Hung returned to Team 3's large office, as usual. Early in the morning, the office was bustling with people. Many workers carried game cabins into the office. "Hey, I said you guys, be careful. These are advanced game cabins. Don't break them. Move it aside. Don't put it near the window." Shen Qing commanded from aside, and his voice sounded a little hoarse. Noticing Fong Hung's arrival, Shen Qing walked over to Fong Hung. "Fong Hung, did you have a good rest last night?" "Yes." President Qin had an urgent business trip last night. Before she left, she said that you should temporarily stay in Team 3 until she comes back. Halfway through, Shen Qing's expression changed slightly. He shouted at a porter beside him, "Don't leave it there. Don't block the intersection. That's for people to pass through." The porter looked impatient. "Then where do you think we should leave it?" "Hurry up. There are still a lot of them down there." "Wait a minute. I'm sorry. The new District 8, has opened. There's a big shift in Team 3 business department. I'm so busy with all these." Shen Qing smiled apologetically and patted Fong Hung's shoulder warmly. "In short, that's the general situation. I'll go back to work first. There's still a lot of rookies reporting for duty today. Feel free to use the row of gaming cabins over there. If you run into any problem, come and find me." After saying that, Shen Qing hurriedly ran to look for the workers to cause trouble. What the hell? The power cord of the gaming cabins is exclusive. There will be a problem if you connect it like that. Are they all so busy? Fong Hung was helpless. Indeed, the zombie apocalypse new District 8, had opened. The business department of the gaming company was now focused on District 9 and was channeling resources in it. It was only right for them to be a little busy. Not only the Phoenix Sound Gaming Company, but other gaming companies, clubs, player guilds, and even the federal government would give their full support to the development of District 8. Fong Hung felt the pressure of competing with these giants. He needed to hurry up and build a shelter. Fong Hung randomly found a game cabin and returned to the game. Hint: while you were offline, your zombie group carried barrels of gasoline *2, firewood *21, logs *291, abandoned parts *23. Your skill, Basic physical training experience point plus 8,912. Hint: your basic physical training level has been upgraded to level 5. Hint: your skill, basic physical training level cannot exceed the character's level. Please upgrade the player's level. In just one night, the basic physical training level had reached level 5. The efficiency was amazing. In the game, most players needed a long period of training to level up their skills. Since zombie clones need not rest, they could log in 24 hours a day, and Fong Hung could greatly reduce the time needed to level up his skills. Normal weight-bearing travel can provide the skill level of basic physical training. Then, the upgrade of basic strength training and agility training will most likely depend on actual combat. Fong Hung muttered to himself, "Fong Hung, you rascal, what are you muttering so early in the morning?" In the small cabin, Liao Bufan held a wooden board in one hand and gestured towards the cabin window. When Uncle Jimmy came online, he said that he had something to do today and will only return tonight. He even left 7 crossbows for you. Lu Lin went out alone to explore the surrounding environment. I couldn't stop her, so I asked her to bring crossbow with her. Fong Hung picked up a completed crossbow and put it in his hand to observe. Item: crossbow. Type: weapon. Quality: normal. Durability: 50 of 50. Damage: 9 to 11. Description: after loading, you can fire a crossbow arrow forward. There is a probability of causing bleeding damage. Using a special arrow can increase the damage. Good stuff. I'll leave one for you to use for self-defense. Fong Hing threw a crossbow and some arrows to Liao Bufan and put the remaining 5 into his backpack. Liao Bufan used a small stone hammer to hammer the nails on the window while saying, "Boss, this crossbow alone is not enough. If the enemy comes, my fragile body will not be able to withstand it." Fong Hung glanced at him and said, "We have to eat extra food tonight." "No problem. Leave it to me." Leaving the cabin, Fong Hung and his 15 zombie clones marched toward the prison. If they encountered any zombies on the way, they would kill them immediately. If ordinary players saw more than 10 zombies gathered together, they would hide far away and not dare to provoke them. On the way, Fong Hung also took some time to study the attributes of the zombie clone. Creature: zombie clone. Level 5. HP: 412/412. Strength: 2.6. Agility: 2.6. Physique: 3. Will: 2.5. Perception: 2.5. Intelligence: 2.5. Basic skills. Skill: zombie body, level max. Skill description: activated passively, not affected by most mental spells, not affected by most diseases and viruses, does not possess mental strength, does not possess energy value, increases HP by 300%. Description: zombie clone does not possess the ability to infect. Living skill. Skill: basic crafting, level 1. Skill: basic cooking, level 1. Set skill. Skill: lumberyard, level max. Fong Hung put away the attribute panel. The biggest advantage of the zombie clone was its HP. If it was a one-on-one fight, Fong Hung was sure that he was no match for the zombie clone. Fong Hung did not delay along the way and went straight to the prison. However, it was inconvenient to walk in the forest environment, so it took him more than an hour. From afar, Fong Hung looked at the prison at the foot of the hill. The prison was backed by a mountain, and there was a small path passing through the front door. This was the first time Fong Hung had seen a road since he had played the game for 2 days. There was a road, which meant that this place was probably at the periphery of the forest. If he walked along the road, he might be able to leave the forest area soon. Fong Hung retracted his gaze and continued to look inside the prison. Just as Liao Bufan had said, the prison occupied a large area. In addition to the vast square, there were 3 large buildings inside. Thick walls, huge iron doors, 3 layers of barbed wire, watchtowers standing tall and erect, as well as searchlights. The prison's defensive measures made Fong Hung envious. These are all good points. It's best to build a player's shelter here. Fong Hung continued to observe the square. A large number of zombies were wandering in the square. Some of them were wearing prison uniforms, while others were wearing thick riot gear. A small hole had been made in the inner gate of the prison. 2 of the 3 layers of the barbed wires had been broken by the zombies, leaving only the last layer to teeter. Where could he enter the inner square of the prison? Fong Hung scanned the surroundings. He didn't dare to get too close. The breath from a living person would affect the zombies. When that happened, groups of zombies would be attracted by him. Even if he had a zombie clone, he wouldn't be able to handle it. Found it. It was right next to the gate. As long as he went through the sentry cabin next to the iron gate, the zombie clone could jump through the window of the sentry cabin and enter the prison. Fong Hung quickly came up with a battle plan. He stood on a small slope and carefully controlled the zombie clones to let them enter the sentry cabin. After killing 2 zombies in the sentry cabin, the 15 zombie clones went through the window and arrived at the prison square. Done. The invasion has been successful. Fong Hung clapped his hands and sat down on the lawn, ordering the zombies to freely clean up the zombies in the prison. Then, he could hang up the phone slowly. Hint: your zombie clone has launched an attack on ordinary zombies. The attack has hit the target. Your basic training, strength experience points +1. Hint: your zombie clone has launched an attack on ordinary zombies. The attack has hit the target. Your basic training, strength experience points +1. Hint: your zombie clone has launched an attack on ordinary zombies. The attack has hit the target. Your basic training, strength experience points +1. Hint: your zombie clone has killed an ordinary zombie. You have gained 2 survival points. Hint: your zombie clone. Just as he had guessed, the zombie clone could increase his strength training skill experience points by attacking. He estimated that the skill experience points would be maxed out very soon. On the lawn, Fong Hung would occasionally flip through the game log. He was bored. It wasn't that he wanted to slack off. As a human being, he really couldn't be of much help in this situation. He just needed to wait for the zombies to gain experience. Or he could just go back to the cabin. After thinking for a while, Fong Hung decided to check again. He took out the survival radio from his backpack and read the conversations of the other players on the survival radio to kill time. Someone has sent a private message? More than half an hour ago. Fong Hung opened his private message to check. The person who sent the message was the player who sold him the location of the Apocalypse merchant camp yesterday. His name was Lu Yu. Lu Yu, boss, an SSS-level mission at the Apocalypse merchant camp has been completed. Is it you? Yes, what's the matter? F***CK. It's really him. It's him. After receiving Fong Heng's confirmation, Lu Yu cried out in shock. This morning, when he and his companion were accepting the mission at the Apocalypse merchant camp, they discovered that the SSS-level mission had actually disappeared into thin air. Almost subconsciously, Lu Yu thought of the big shot who had spent 20 points to inquire about the location of the Apocalypse merchant yesterday. Could it be that he had completed the mission? After receiving an affirmative reply from Fong Hung, Zhou Yi, who was traveling with Lu Yu, also opened his mouth wide in disbelief. Impossible. How could this mission be completed? He must have used some kind of trick, right? Lu Yu looked at Zhou Yi and shook his head, indicating that he did not know. He sent another message to Fong Hung. How did you do it? After a while, Fong Heng's reply came back. 100 survival points. F***CK. Lu Yu cursed in a low voice. It must be a super awesome combat-type talent attribute. Otherwise, it would be impossible to clear out the entire camp. Zhou Yi lowered his head and analyzed the information in his mind. Suddenly, he raised his head and stared at Lu Yu. Let's go offline. Such a powerful boss would not be unknown in the game. Go check his identity and think of a way to poach him into our company. I've already said that he's a big boss. I don't think he's willing to come to your small and broken company, right? Let's give it a try. Even if we can't poach him, it won't be a loss to work with him. Zhou Yi was not even prepared to complete the mission that he had planned to complete today. He turned his head and looked at Lu Yu. I'll go offline to check his information. Help me guard this simple bed. Hurry back. TSK. Poor bastard. Seeing that the other party had no more words after making the offer, Fong Hung was a little disappointed and closed the private chat. Fong Hung was also bored. He didn't care about a mere 100 survival points. But no matter what, freeloading was always the best. In the game, the private chat was also restricted. Players can have a limited number of private chats on survival radio every half hour, but this number can be accumulated up to 5 times. Hint: your skill, strength training level +1. Hint: your zombie clone is under attack. Hint: your zombie clone is under attack. Hint: your zombie clone is under attack. Hint: your zombie clone is dead. Hint: your zombie clone will be resurrected in 24 hours. What the hell? Fong Hung, who was lying on the grass, glanced at the game notification and sat up straight as if he was electrocuted. The zombie clone was dead. Fong Hung looked at the prison square through the barbed wire fence. A small part of the zombies wandering in the square had just been cleaned up. What was that? Among the crowd of zombies, a zombie was very eye-catching. Its grayish-green skin had a hint of red, and its eyes were shining with a strange red light. It was a mutated zombie. Fong Hung narrowed his eyes and immediately controlled the remaining zombie clones to stop attacking and retreat. Mutated zombies were the products of ordinary zombies being mutated. Compared to ordinary zombies, all of their attributes had a huge increase, and they even had some special abilities. Basic-level zombies had special abilities such as strength enhancement and agility enhancement. Other than that, mutated zombies might have higher intelligence than ordinary zombies. At least, they would choose to fight back after being attacked. The zombie clone that died before was probably killed because it provoked it. What a troublesome thing. Fortunately, I didn't go back to hack just now. Fong Hung was a little glad. Otherwise, his zombie clones would all be killed here. If he waited for the zombie clones to resurrect, he would have wasted 24 hours. After all, the game had just started and it was a race against time. 24 hours of resurrection time was too long. The good news was that this mutated zombie was still relatively quiet. As long as no one provoked it, it would just stand there quietly. He needed to think of a way to get rid of it, or else he would not be able to continue hacking. After calming down, Fong Hung opened the game log of the zombie clone before it died and observed it. Hint: your zombie clone is attacking the mutated zombie. The mutated zombie is dodging the attack. Your skill, basic agility experience points +1. Hint: your zombie clone is under attack. Hint: your zombie clone is under attack. Hint: your zombie clone is attacking ordinary zombies. The attack hit the target. Your basic training, strength experience points +3. Hint: your skill, strength training level +1. Hint: your zombie clone is under attack. Hint: your zombie clone is under attack. Hint: your zombie clone is under attack. Hint: your zombie clone is dead. On average, the zombie clone could attack once, while the mutated zombie could attack 3 times. Moreover, the attack of the zombie clone had a higher chance of being dodged by the enemy. Apart from that, the zombie clone took a total of 24 attacks from the enemy before it fell. According to the attack efficiency, the other side's damage output was not high. It could only be said that it was slightly stronger than ordinary zombies. In conclusion, it was a zombie that evolved in agility form. A few years of gaming experience allowed Fong Hung to make a quick judgment. Mutated zombies in agility form were the most troublesome because their movement speed would also be greatly increased compared to ordinary zombies. When the survivors encountered ordinary zombies, they could use the method of flying a kite to slowly exhaust them to death, or they could just turn around and run away. However, if they were mutated zombies with fast-moving speed, flying a kite was simply courting death. Only by running away without turning back would they have a chance to survive. It's not difficult to deal with. Fong Hung rubbed his chin and immediately came up with a plan. He controlled his zombie clones to avoid the mutated zombie and chose the surrounding ordinary zombies as his targets first. It was similar to how he used to play games. He first cleared out the random soldiers around him and then killed the largest elite monster. Unfortunately, Fong Hung's zombie clones didn't have high intelligence. They didn't understand the difference between mutated zombies and ordinary zombies. So, trouble came again. Fong Hung had no way to hack. He could only control his zombie clones from a distance and kill the other zombies one by one. After half an hour, a space was cleared around the mutated zombies. Then, Fong Hung summoned his zombie clones back to his side. In the morning, he brought out 5 crossbows from the cabin. He had 1 on him and had 4 left. Now, Fong Hung distributed all 5 crossbows to the zombie clones. From the very beginning, Fong Hung had never thought of risking his life to provoke the mutated zombie. After all, the attack power of the mutated zombie was not high, and it only targeted the zombie clones. But it was a zombie. A player would be infected with the virus if they were scratched, and they would die. A one-hit kill. The attack power was limitless. What a joke. Everyone only had 3 chances to be reborn, and then they would die completely. Fong Hung cherished his life very much. The zombie clones accepted Fong Hung's orders. 5 of the zombies picked up the crossbows on the ground and loaded the crossbows with great effort. Fong Hung had done several similar experiments before. Apart from sticks and machetes, the zombie clones could also use some more complicated weapons. For example, crossbows, guns, and the like. However, there were great restrictions on the use of these weapons. They could only be used under Fong Hung's control, where he could see them. Once they left his sight and let the zombies hack, these zombies couldn't accept complicated messages, such as if you encounter an enemy, aim the crossbow at your enemy and pull the trigger, then reload at the same time. The most they could do was swing the thing in their hands to hit the enemy. Fong Hung understood that zombies were single-threaded creatures. During the hack-in phase, they could only receive 1 complicated command at a time. 5 zombie clones with crossbows staggered toward the prison. They stopped 3 meters away from the barbed wire fence outside the prison. It was about time. Fong Hung estimated the distance and gave the order for the zombie clones to pull the crossbow. Chi, 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 chi. The 5 zombie clones pulled the crossbow at the same time. The arrow was shot out and struck the concrete ground not far away from the mutated zombie, making soft sounds. The mutated zombie raised its head. It noticed the zombie clones in the distance, then lowered its head and continued to think. It's my clone after all. You're not accurate enough. Fong Hung silently complained, then asked the clones to reload. Shoot! Chi, chi, chi. This time, an arrow hit the shoulder of the mutated zombie. Woo! The mutated zombie let out a cry and in anger. It quickly pounced on Fong Hung's zombie clone. What a fast-moving speed. It was only slightly slower than a normal person's running speed. Fong Hung's eyelids twitched. Bang! Crack! The fleeing mutated zombie crashed into the barbed wire fence outside the prison and was firmly blocked. Roar! Hiss! 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 The mutated zombie let out a strange sound and kept struggling, tried to attack the zombie clones outside the barbed wire fence. Unfortunately, it lacked long-range attacks, so it couldn't do anything to the zombie clones on the other side of the barbed wire fence. Hee hee. You don't know what else to do, do you? Fong Hung, who was hiding in the dark, chuckled and controlled the zombie clones outside the barbed wire fence to continue loading the crossbows. The crossbow arrows pierced into the mutated zombie's body one after another, releasing putrid black liquid. The movement of the zombie clone was very stiff. Each round of loading the crossbow would take more than 10 seconds. Fong Hung wasn't in a hurry. All he needed to do was to hide in the dark and give out the commands. 10 minutes later, the mutated zombie, which was full of arrows, let out a howl and fell to the ground unwillingly. Phew! Fong Hung wiped the sweat from his forehead. He was a little tired. He sat down with his back against a big tree and rubbed his swollen temples. It was very tiring to control the zombie in this manner. Hint: your zombie has killed the mutated zombie. Your skill, basic training, strength experience points, plus 24. Hint: your zombie clone has killed a mutated zombie. You have obtained 15 survival points and a complete evolution crystal, tier 1, *1. Amazing. It dropped a complete evolution crystal. The sudden good news made Fong Hung excited again, and his previous fatigue was swept away. Go quickly. Fong Hung commanded his zombie clones to climb over the sentry cabin and into the prison square and picked up the evolution crystal that was left on the corpse. Item: complete evolution crystal, tier 1. Item description: a special crystal that contains powerful strength. It can increase the player's character experience points, only effective on players below level 10. Fong Hung held the complete evolution crystal tightly in his palm. Bang! The crystal shattered. A thick red mist gathered in his palm and was quickly absorbed by it. Hint: you have absorbed the complete evolution crystal, Tier 1. Your level has been increased to level 6. Hint: due to the enhancement of your talent skill, Split Zombie Clone, you have gained an additional zombie clone, *6. The soil around Fong Heng's feet began to churn again. Chi! Chi! Gray-brown palms reached out from the soil one after another. Soon, 6 newly resurrected zombies stood behind Fong Hung. One of them had just been killed by a mutated zombie, but after leveling up, 6 more zombies were added to the list. This was a good deal. Fong Hung thought that it would take some time for him to level up after reaching level 5, but he didn't expect it to be so fast. Waving his hand, Fong Hung controlled the zombies to put down their crossbows and return to the prison to clear zombies. Meanwhile, he slowly sat back down on the ground and began to make wooden spears for the newly resurrected zombies. After the accident, Fong Hung gave up the idea of going back to the shelter to avoid any unexpected situations. He quietly sat on the grass and watched the zombies hack. Hint: your zombie group has obtained Evolution Crystal Fragment *142, Blueprint, Grill, Blueprint, Shovel, Blueprint, Deer Antler, Recipe, Golden Crab, Bandage *3, Precision Parts *4. After watching the zombies hack for 5 to 6 hours, Fong Hung stretched himself and counted the rewards. After a zombie died, there was a small chance that it would drop some rare things. For example, making blueprints. The antlers were not bad. When they were placed around the shelter, low-level zombies with no intelligence would rush to the antlers and commit suicide. It could greatly increase the safety level in the early stages. As for the barbecue grill and the recipe, they were a bit of a drag. Other than satisfying the taste buds, they were not very useful. That's strange. I'm not a chef. Why do I always get these things? Besides, are you sure I can afford the ingredients for the golden crab? Fong Hung muttered to himself and tapped the blueprints and recipe on his head. It was better to learn a few skills than have no skill. Hint: you have learned how to make antlers, shovels, and grills. Hint: you have learned how to cook delicacies, golden crab. Your cooking skill experience points +20. Fong Hung stood up to stretch his body while observing the prison situation. About 2/3 of the zombies in the prison square had been cleared, and the remaining 3 buildings had not been searched at all. There were probably quite several zombies left in the buildings. It's a big project. Optimistically, it will take another day to clean it up. If there are mutated zombies in the buildings, it will be even more troublesome. Fong Hung muttered to himself. The security level of the prison is much higher than that of the cabin. The faster we clear this place, the faster we can move. Hint: your survival radio received an urgent message from your good friend Jimmy. Jimmy is in trouble? The sudden game prompt made Fong Heng's heart skip a beat. Previously, to prevent accident from happening, they had added each other as friends in the game. They could contact each other privately through the survival radio. Fong Hung had a bad premonition. He immediately turned on the survival radio and opened the unread message. Luyu, boss, are we cooperating? Our company sincerely invites you to be our companies. You want to poach me for nothing again? Fong Hung thought. Fong Hung didn't have the time to pay attention to Luyu. He didn't even finish reading his private message and went straight to the next one. Jimmy, Fong Hung, we've run into some trouble. You better go back to the cabin. Fong Hung replied, Okay, I'll be back soon. Turning off the radio, Fong Hung controlled his zombie clones to return to the shelter. He took out a mountain bike from his backpack and rode it back to the shelter. Compared to before he left, the shelter had been reinforced. The broken wooden windows had been resealed, and the hole in the roof had also been resealed. The gate of the shelter was closed as if it was facing a great enemy. Was it an attack? Fong Heng's heart sank, and he pushed the door open. Liao Bufan and the others were sitting around discussing something. When they saw Fong Hung, they raised their heads at the same time. Fong Heng's gaze swept over Jimmy, who was playing with the crossbow in his hand. What happened? We were robbed. Liao Bufan was very unhappy. He answered first, Lu Lin went to trade with a group of players in the afternoon. I didn't expect that the other party didn't follow the rules and directly rob the food. If Lu Lin didn't have the crossbow with her, something might have happened to her. Fang Heng's expression changed slightly. He turned to look at Lu Lin. Are you okay? I'm fine. Fang Heng nodded and started to reflect. Everything had gone too smoothly for the past 2 days. He had taken it for granted. The crisis and the apocalypse didn't only come from zombies, but also players. It was indeed very dangerous to let Lu Lin barter with other players alone. Fortunately, Lu Lin was fine. Lu Lin felt a little guilty. She thought that she was an experienced player, which was why she dared to barter with other players alone. She did not expect to be tricked. They were already prepared. In the beginning, the person I was trading with was a woman. She was very cooperative and had already prepared the goods to trade with me. I was a little careless. I did not expect that just as I took out the food, several people appeared around me and forced me to hand over the food. After that, when they saw that I took out my crossbow to defend for my life, they probably felt threatened and I got the chance to escape. Lu Lin roughly explained what had happened. I'll remember this. Next time, I'll get back at them. Liao Bufan was extremely displeased that his materials had been stolen for nothing. However, he felt a little helpless and hence said those harsh words. What should he do? Should he rush over and fight with the other party? To vent his hatred was one thing. However, doing so would only hurt himself more than the enemy. It was not worth it. The vast majority of players could only admit that they were unlucky when they encountered such a situation. Let me remember this grudge first, he thought angrily. There was still time in the future. There would always be a chance to slowly settle the score by then. Lu Lin knew very well that she could only blame herself for being careless and admitted that she was unlucky. At that moment, Fang Heng raised his head and asked, How many are there? How strong are they? Fang Heng, don't be rash. Lu Lin sensed that Fang Heng's tone was not right. She advised, Now is not the time to fight these people head-on. There will be plenty of opportunities for revenge in the future. She had misunderstood. Fang Heng softened his tone and said, I know. I want to know how many are there. I see 5 people, but their shelter is medium-sized. It can accommodate up to 12 people. Fang Heng nodded and fell silent again. Liao Bufan saw that Fang Heng's expression was not very good, so he tried to persuade him. Fang Heng, why don't we just forget about it this time? At most, we won't trade with them in the future. Lu Lin pursed her lips as well. I was very careful when I traded. I traded in batches, so I only lost a few packets of instant noodles. We can accept this loss, but I will be more careful next time. Fang Heng didn't say anything. He had a very bad premonition, and he kept lowering his head to think about something. This was the first time Liao Bufan saw Fang Heng so serious. Seeing that the atmosphere was a little quiet, he couldn't help but persuade him again. Fang Heng, we don't have to go head-to-head with these people right now. It's just a few packets of instant noodles. We don't lack this little bit of materials, right? At most, I'll eat less tonight. Liao Bufan's voice grew softer as he spoke. It was obvious that he didn't have enough confidence in this matter. No, I'm not thinking about this. This little bit of food loss is nothing to us. Fang Heng raised his head and explained to the two of them. Moreover, I'm also responsible for this matter. I shouldn't use high-value food to trade with other players at this time. What? Liao Bufan scratched his head, looking as if he didn't understand. Jimmy took a sip of hot tea and said slowly, A man with wealth is guilty of a crime. Yes, think about it from another perspective. If you were them and found out that a neighbor had extra food to trade when there was a lack of food, what would you do? If I'm them, Liao Bufan thought for a moment, and then subconsciously blurted out, Of course I would rob him. Fang Heng raised his head, a worried look flashing across his face. That's right. I'm just worried that they will come and rob us of our materials. Liao Bufan understood. This can't be. Lu Lin became nervous when she heard this. If they come, then don't blame me. Liao Bufan shook his arms and looked fierce. If they're going to rob me of my food, I'm going to fight them to the death. When that happens, it will be either you or me who will die. I don't know. Just be careful. We have enough materials now. Don't go out during the day for the next 2 days. All of you stay here and wait for 2 days before moving to a new shelter. Jimmy put down the glass in his hand and shook his head. Fong Hung, it's too late. We might not make it in time. Everyone looked at Jimmy in confusion. I went to check around the cabin after I heard Lu Lin talk about the food being stolen. I found a stranger's footprint in the bushes. I guess someone has been snooping around our cabin. Lu Lin's expression changed slightly, and she said anxiously, "That's impossible. Did I make a mistake?" I checked carefully when I came back. I was sure that no one was following me. I didn't see wrongly. I noticed that besides human footprints, there were also animal footprints. I deduced that it was some kind of a large dog. Jimmy explained, "This isn't your problem. I think a certain player has the talent to summon hounds. They track your scent and found this place." It was over. The base camp was exposed. Liao Bufan slapped his forehead. "Fine, we'll take it as it comes. Let's fight it out with them. Old man, help me get more crossbows and arrows. I'll reinforce the cabin while I have some time." Lu Lin said, "I've prepared 10 portions of painkillers and bandages. I only have 2 bottles of rapid healing potion. Because I need licorice, I can't mass-produce them." Liao Bufan and Lu Lin had begun to discuss how to defend against the enemy. Fong Hung didn't say a word. He lowered his head and pondered. The passive defense plan was frustrating, and it was a waste of time. It would disrupt his plan to build a shelter. In the early stages of the game, time was precious, and Fong Hung didn't want to waste it. Most importantly, if they fought, he wouldn't be able to utilize the combat ability of the zombie clones in this defensive battle. The zombie clones were still too stiff. What about taking the initiative to attack? A few minutes later, an evil plan was formed in Fong Hang's mind. Fong Hung raised his head again. "Lu Lin, where's the base of these people?" "They're in the northwest of our camp. It'll take at least 90 minutes to get there." Lu Lin was confused. "Why are you asking this?" "Clap." Liao Bufan clapped his hands suddenly as if he had realized something. "I see. I understand. Catch them off guard." Liao Bufan was also a militant by nature. He thought that he had understood Fong Hang's strategic intention, so he patted Fong Hang's shoulder excitedly. "The best defense is to attack. Brother Fong Hung, I understand. Let's go. We'll go there first and sneak attack 1 or 2 of them. Let them know how powerful we are. When the time comes, they won't dare to come and find trouble with us. I've been displeased with those people for a long time. Attack my asterisk. This boar." Fong Hung sighed under his breath and silently moved Liao Bufan's hand away from his shoulder. "I didn't say that I wanted to fight them head on. Anyway, I already have a plan. Leave this matter to me. I'll keep watch tonight. I'll let you go offline to rest first. I still need your help during the day tomorrow." "Huh? Go offline and rest." Liao Bufan widened his eyes. He wondered if he had heard wrongly. He and Lu Lin looked at each other, and countless question marks appeared in their minds. What was Fong Hung trying to do? Why did he take the initiative to keep watch tonight? His summoned zombies were indeed good at collecting materials. However, they couldn't deal with the other players just by relying on these zombies, could they? Fong Hung didn't care about the gazes of the others. He slowly sat down in front of the bonfire and began to prepare the materials for the night. Hint: you have completed the production of the small stone hammer. You have gained production experience point +1. Item: small stone hammer. Grade: crude. Damage: 1 to 2. Description: the most basic survival tool. You can use it to destroy and disassemble. After disassembling, you will receive a small portion of the basic building materials. Description: this thing has the reputation of the world-breaking hammer. As long as the hammer is in hand, you can break anything. Chun Gui was a federally registered game mercenary. He received quests in the game to earn money. In the game Mercenary World, he had a famous nickname, Prisoner Snake. After entering the game's new server, he immediately discovered a large-scale system shelter and gathered a nearby group of villain players with combat-type talent through the survival radio. Prisoner Snake successfully united these people into a small team and became the leader of the team. This team was very powerful in the early stages. He felt that this was a God-given opportunity, and he might even have a chance to become an overlord in the game. In front of the bonfire in the shelter, Prisoner Snake and his subordinates celebrated today's harvest. Ha ha, well done. You found that B*TCH's nest. I'll give you credit this time. Lin touched the hound by his feet and laughed proudly. No prey can escape Ray's nose. Hee hee, Brother Snake, we've done some investigation. There's the girl and a thin old man there. Both of them don't have much combat ability. We'll definitely take them down tomorrow. Let's eat to our fill tonight. We'll go there to ambush them at dawn tomorrow. No matter who comes out from there, we'll kill them directly. Prisoner Snake's face was full of viciousness. He wasn't a man of faith and did not display kindness to others. When he was a mercenary, killing people in the game was a common occurrence. He didn't have any psychological burden. Just kill all of them and steal their materials. A rather sweet and charming-looking woman giggled as she sat on Prisoner Snake's lap. Brother Snake, don't kill and fight all the time. Leave a few people alive and ask them how they found so much food in the game. That way, we won't have to be on tenterhooks all day. Prisoner Snake's eyes lit up as he touched Xiao Na's smooth legs. Good. You're the smart one. I'll listen to you. How do you think I should reward you tonight? Brother Snake doesn't pity me at all. As she said this, Brother Snake suddenly frowned. What's that sound? Shoo. Brother Snake became alert. He signaled all the players to keep quiet. Dong. There was another sound. It wasn't very loud, but it wasn't soft either. It seemed to be the sound of a collision. Dong. The sound came from outside the shelter. Dong. As they traced the source of the sound, everyone couldn't help but look at the wooden wall behind Brother Snake. It seemed like someone was knocking on the wall of the cabin. Dong. The frequency of the knocking became higher and higher. The sound began to ring out in all directions in the shelter. For a moment, the players in the shelter all broke out in cold sweat. What was going on? Why was there such a strange sound? Could it be that the zombies had invaded? That wasn't right. The game's 72-hour protection time had not yet expired, so the zombies would not take the initiative to attack the shelter during this period. Moreover, hearing such a loud noise, there must be a lot of zombies attacking from the outside. Could it be a player invasion? That was even more impossible. At night, the zombies would go into a berserk state and all their attributes would be enhanced. In addition, the viewing distance of the players at night was very short, so early-stage players would not be able to act at night. Dong. The hammering sounds became more and more frequent and louder, as if there was a circle of enemies surrounding the cabin. It was too terrifying. What on earth was outside? Hint. Your shelter is under attack. Hint. Your shelter's safety level is decreasing. Hint. Please repair your shelter and protect it from attacks. Hint. Your shelter's current safety level is 12. As the safety level decreases, the maximum number of players that can be accommodated in the shelter will gradually decrease. Everyone's expression changed again. They did not know what was outside, but if this continued, the shelter might not be able to survive. Calm down. What are you afraid of? Brother Snake pretended to be calm. He pointed at one of his subordinates and said, Wang Xiao, go out and take a look. Wang Xiao was also a mercenary who did not say much. He nodded and raised the baseball bat in his hand. Under everyone's eyes, Wang Xiao slowly walked to the wooden door and slowly reached out his hand, preparing to push it open. Dong! Before Wang Xiao was ready to open the door, the wooden door suddenly let out a dong sound. Wang Xiao was startled by the sudden sound and took half a step back. Humph! You're playing tricks. Wang Xiao was enraged and pushed the door open. An ugly zombie was blocking the door with a small stone hammer in its hand. Xiao Na was so scared that her face turned pale and she screamed loudly. It's a zombie! You're crazy. Wang Xiao, close the door. Get lost. The veins on Wang Xiao's forehead bulged. He shouted and swung the baseball bat at the zombie's head. Then, he raised his leg and kicked the zombie back a few steps. Taking advantage of the gap, Wang Xiao quickly poked his head out and looked out the door. Wang Xiao's scalp went numb when he saw what was happening outside. It was too dark to see clearly at night, but with this glance, he saw at least 5 or 6 zombies swinging hammers at the wall of the shelter. Wang Xiao quickly retreated and closed the wooden door tightly. He panted heavily, and a layer of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. What's going on outside? What's going on? Tell me. Wang Xiao took a deep breath and said, there are at least a dozen zombies smashing the wall. Hearing this, everyone's faces turned pale. At least 7 or 8. How could they fight? For a moment, the sound of hammering echoed throughout the shelter like a life-threatening talisman. What should we do? What should we do? Xiao Na was scared out of her wits. She held Brother Snake's hand tightly and begged for help. Brother Snake, think of something? I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Shut up. TCH, what are you doing? Prisoner Snake was in a terrible mood. He slapped Xiao Na with his palm. He had no idea what to do. Let's fight it out with them. Prisoner Snake's eyes turned red and his blood raged with anger. If this continued, the shelter would be destroyed and they would all die. If they fought, there might be a 50% chance of survival. Let's go. It's just a few nights of zombies. We have so many people, and we're still afraid of a few zombies. Prisoner Snake took out a steel rod from his backpack and led the way to the door. Bang! Prisoner Snake kicked the door open and hit the zombie's head with the rod. The zombie was hit by the rod and staggered back a few steps. In the cabin, Liao Bufan and Lu Lin didn't go offline. Fang Heng had been urging them to go offline to rest. However, how could they sleep peacefully under such circumstances? After all, Fang Heng, sitting in front of the bonfire in a daze, was not reassuring. Both of them were trying their best to prepare for the upcoming fierce battle. Jimmy, on the other hand, was holding a cup of hot tea as usual. He was still online purely for the sake of playing the game for a longer time. To be honest, Jimmy also wanted to see how this young man would deal with this crisis. Fang Heng, who was sitting in front of the bonfire, seemed to be in a daze, but in fact he had been staring at the game log. Hint: your zombie clone used a stone hammer to demolish a building. Obtained firewood *1. Hint: your zombie clone used a stone hammer to demolish a building. Hint: your zombie clone used a stone hammer to demolish a building. Obtained firewood *1. Hint: your zombie clone used. Hint: your zombie clone used a stone hammer to demolish a building. Hint: your zombie has been attacked. Hint: your zombie has been attacked. Hint: your zombie has been attacked. It's coming. Fang Heng's eyes lit up. You can't hold it in anymore? Your endurance is bad, brother. Fang Heng licked his lips and muttered softly. Our game has just begun. Bang! Brother Snake flipped a zombie to the ground with a steel rod. Seeing how brave Prisoner Snake was, the players became more aggressive. They waved their wooden sticks and came out of the shelter. They stood behind him, ready to fight to the death with the zombies. If the shelter was destroyed, everyone would die here. Prisoner Snake's eyes were full of killing intent. However, even if he was determined to die, he didn't dare to step out of the light range of the cabin. The zombies gathered at the door one by one. Both sides were in a stalemate for more than 10 seconds. Prisoner Snake felt tired of holding the steel rod in his hand. He was too stressed, and he was very nervous. His hands were full of sweat. However, what he didn't expect was that after a short stalemate, the zombies surrounding the cabin retreated like a tide. What was the meaning of this? Why did they suddenly retreat? Just as Brother Snake was puzzled, someone shouted behind him, "Brother Snake is awesome." They ran away. They all ran away. Hearing the players behind him discussing it, Prisoner Snake was relieved. Although he was panicking, he still tried to maintain the dignity of a leader in front of everyone. He adjusted his stiff facial muscles, turned around, and smiled disdainfully. I thought it was something else. Is that it? No matter how many of them come, they won't be enough for me to kill them. Hint: your zombie clone has been attacked and is trying to dodge. Hint: your zombie clone has failed to dodge. Hint: you have gained basic agility skill experience point +1. Hint: your zombie team is retreating. Hint: your zombie team has completed the retreat command and is standing by. In the small cabin, Fang Heng added a piece of wood to the bonfire and took out a can of coffee from his backpack. Gulp, gulp, gulp. After finishing the can of coffee in one go, Fang Heng let out a sigh of relief. Phew, awesome. In terms of taste alone, the coffee in the game was much better than the coffee in the real world. He was even a little reluctant to finish it. Fong Hung opened another can of coffee for himself. Ugh, seeing Fong Hung drinking so boldly, Liao Bufan was also a little envious. He said, "Brother Fong Hung, it's already so late and you're still drinking coffee? Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to sleep at night?" After drinking the coffee in the game, the effects were astonishing. After drinking a can of coffee, one couldn't fall asleep for an entire night. There was even an additional state called excitement, which could slightly increase the recovery speed of the player's energy points. Sleep? I've already said that I'll be on my own tonight. You guys should rest early. Fong Hung smiled, giving off an unfathomable feeling. I'm going to have a lot of fun tonight. Jimmy glanced at Fong Hung. Seeing that he was holding onto a pearl of wisdom, he smiled and nodded. Okay, then I'll have to trouble you tonight. It's time for me to sleep too. I'm getting old and can't take it anymore. As he spoke, Jimmy lay down on the simple bed and went offline. Liao Bufan blinked his eyes and looked at Lu Lin, who was beside him. These two guys were fearless. They could sleep in such a dangerous situation. Hurry up and go offline. Fong Hung crushed the leftover cans, broke them into scrap metal, and threw them into the storage box before starting to chase them away. I still need you guys to work during the day tomorrow. Are you trying to slack off? All right. Liao Bufan was a little reluctant, but thinking about it carefully, there wasn't much use for him to stay here. It was better to go offline to recover his energy and prepare for the battle tomorrow. Maybe Fong Hung had a plan? Lulin glanced at Fong Hung worriedly. Seeing that he was waving his hand to urge her to go offline, she sighed in her heart. She hoped that he would be all right. After finishing the 2 cans of coffee, Fong Hung, who was sitting in front of the bonfire, was full of energy and fighting spirit. Come on, brother, let's continue playing. We're just getting started. Fong Hung muttered to himself as he opened the game log and controlled the zombies in the outside world. Brother Snake is awesome. The moment they see Brother Snake, these zombies will shit their pants. Aren't they just zombies? With Brother Snake here, what are we afraid of? We'll kill as many as we want. In a few days, Brother Snake will lead us to rob a shelter. When that time comes, we'll be the king of the game. Prisoner Snake was still afraid of what had just happened, but he still pretended to be calm. They say that the zombies at night are very scary, but that's all they are. Brother Snake still couldn't understand why the zombies had retreated. After chatting for a while, Prisoner Snake felt sleepy, so he waved his hand. Who's keeping watch tonight? Everyone else. Rest early. It's just a little harassment. It's not a big deal, but you're all so excited. Tomorrow morning, we still need to. Dong! There was the sound of hammering. The players who were about to return to their beds and go offline to rest froze on the spot. Almost at the same time, everyone shut their mouths. It couldn't be. Could it be? The room was extremely quiet. Everyone remained silent, praying that they had heard wrong. Dong! Dong! The familiar sound of hammering was heard again, as if it was hitting the hearts of every player. They didn't hear wrongly. The zombies were back. F***CK. Is there no end? Not again. The hammering did not stop. Instead, it was getting louder and louder, coming from all directions. Prisoner Snake gritted his teeth and raised his steel rod. Let's go. Let's fight. Pushing open the door, Prisoner Snake used his steel rod and swept away the zombies that were attacking the shelter with their stone hammers. Under the attack, the zombies staggered a few steps back. It didn't attack, but slowly staggered backwards and hid in the darkness. In the blink of an eye, the surrounding zombies quickly retreated into the darkness again. The sound of stone hammers gradually disappeared from the shelter. The players who followed Prisoner Snake looked at the darkness, and their hearts sank to the bottom. The darkness was like the mouth of a giant beast, swallowing all the zombies. Brother Snake, what should we do? Should we chase after them? Chase my asterisk guess. How could they not see through such a simple trap? These idiots. Prisoner Snake had nowhere to vent his anger. At night, the visibility in the wild was only at most 2 to 3 meters long. Under such circumstances, no one could survive if he was surrounded by zombies. How could Prisoner Snake gamble his life on such a small chance of survival? Prisoner Snake gritted his teeth and said, "Don't chase after them. Let's go back first." Back in the cabin, everyone's morale was low. The atmosphere in the room was so heavy that it was scary. No one said anything, and no one went offline to rest. They were all worried that the annoying hammering sound would come back again. Xiao Na curled up in a corner and shivered. Everyone in the room had a premonition that this sound would appear again. What one hoped for came true. Less than 5 minutes later, dong! In the quiet cabin, the sound of the hammer hitting was very clear. Damn it! It was happening again.